Going live to analyze, discuss, or go through this sort of discussion slash debate. AndyPants sort of got Act-Man into. There's a lot of stupid stuff around it in general. So, and we're going to have guests come in. Here's our first one. Tachyon Blue. Welcome.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Not too much at all. Checking stuff and thinking of how I want to proceed because, like normal, there's going to be a little chaos with this particular thing. Sent out many invites. Let's see who wants to pop on. Limited time, and I understand. So, introduce yourself, I guess, would be the start. Gonna have to do this with everyone out there.
All right, sure. Oh, first off, I do like your new avatar change. It looks good, by the way. Better than the old one.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm Tachyon Blue. I'm a political live streamer. I focus on politics and gaming mostly. I'm currently working on a couple different books. I'm working on a multi-volume book about Gamergate. I'm doing a Kickstarter very soon here, actually. Probably within the next couple months, there will be a Kickstarter campaign. You can pick up a copy of the book with the Kickstarter campaign. There's actually be multiple volumes. The first volume is already done. The second volume is about halfway done, and yeah, there's going to be probably over 10 volumes in total, possibly around 12. I'm looking at. I've interviewed over 70 people on both sides of the controversy. I've also interviewed a bunch of people about multi-user dungeons for another book called Champions of Alanthea, but that's not. That's coming out next year most likely as well. Anyway, how are you doing today?
Yeah. Not too bad. It's good to mix a harsh, a tough topic with one that sounds rather fun overall. A good balance is always to have. And I guess I'm live on his side. I'm Vincent
Yes.
Martin. Defining myself is a little bit tough. I'll go with mad scientist of YouTube because I'm doing a lot of research. I'm just breaking a lot of rules by touching the poo, so to speak, if you want to use those evil Kiwi farmers terminology out there. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get I'm not sure if everyone who's going to be popping in here has watched it. I believe you have. What is your general impression overall?
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on the conversation that happened. I guess first of all, I don't know most of either of these people. Okay, Actman or AndyPants. I saw a little bit of Actman. I know he was on one of Destiny's his panel about January 6th, right? So I know a little bit about him. That's the only time I've seen him, I believe. So I didn't go in with like any biases towards these particular content creators one way or the other. Um, I guess in terms of my overall approach to how I do things, I'm more like in line with I guess Actman's approach. I try to criticize people on both sides, insofar as at least he says he tries to do that. So yeah, that's what I try to do as well. I try to be honest and try not to play any favorites towards any specific community, whether they're social justice people or anti-social justice people or whatever it happens to be. Um, I do think that Andy does seem to have taken a lot of this stuff a little bit too seriously, perhaps, and maybe gotten a little bit too in the culture war brain mindset. It seems from the discussion I saw. Now he did raise a couple of points that I thought were interesting, though, and I'm not sure that Actman really addressed them especially well. One of which is the uglification of characters in games. I think that Andy probably is right that that is a phenomenon that's happening. Um, and I don't know why that is, but it does seem like with the Pokemon
Yeah,
Go situation, and you can see
that's
some
the
of the
particular thing. The uglification of women in games. What is the source of it? Is it the sort of woke mind virus, that sort of angle there, or is there more mundane sort of reasons for it? Like not hiring the best people, which some people would also link to sort of a diversity initiative hiring.
I
Would
can't
you?
I can't speak to that. I don't work for like
Okay,
AAA
yeah.
companies. I don't know that like
You're
what their hiring practices look like. I'd hope that they follow the laws of the United States, of course.
Yes, I'm more willing to go into theoretical, I think, than you. There is really no proof out there of any of these. So a lot of the claims, what's known as anti woke online, would really back up. I have disagreements on a lot of these particular sort of things that they talk about. I like examples in general. Were you done? Sorry, I interrupted you
Well,
and I was moving on like nothing else.
yeah, there are a few examples, I think, of these characters that do look less attractive than you would think that they should. Like Joanna Dark in the new Perfect Dark game, for instance. They do seem to have changed her appearance, and I don't know if that's an artistic choice on them. And they're like, you know what, we think this look looks better, or what. But she does look less attractive, that's for sure. It seems, at least to my eye. And then also too, Pokemon Go, they made an update recently that changed the characters. They redesigned basically the entire avatar system, I believe, and the new avatars look worse than the old ones. Many players have complained. And there's other examples as well, with the Star Wars Outlaws, for instance, where the face model doesn't quite seem to match the character.
Yeah, but that's something I'm willing to go out on the line for. There's the the actual models, then you have the artistic intent. There's a whole discussion behind that. Like if you're going to use this model, should you make them look better than they really are, or should you design them like you have an actress, very beautiful actress, but would it be realistic to have her that beauty standards when she was living the life of the rebel? I haven't played it, so I don't know the context around that particular thing. I just understand it from an artistic perspective, maybe even an autistic perspective in some ways, given some of the rabbit holes and some of the stuff I've commented on and researched in the past, but that's really besides the point. Oh, we got a comment. One of substance. The issue when it came to Andy was whether or not he was generally right. His statement, his words are exaggerated and radicalized, i.e., adds way too many buzzwords. Yeah, I know. I think it's optically horrible, this whole thing. I like to go into examples, and I'm not going to wholeheartedly agree. I mean, yeah, I agree that AndyPants gaming with a lot of stuff comes off as very fake, griftery. Maybe he believes these ideas and thinks that this is the way, the overuse of chud. I, not chud, sorry. That's what the left does to the right. That's their sort of word. What's the term? Cuck, 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 cuck. I've been hearing that go all along. Okay. It seems to be coming to the point of watering down the word. Like, are you just using this as a replacement for something else? Because you're overusing it, guys. Okay. Can't call everything cuck. It gets a little bit boring, even insult wise.
Yeah, and but Star
But
Wars Outlaws, I've not played the game. I've seen gameplay footage of it. It looks like it has a lot of problems, like the artificial intelligence with the game, for instance, doesn't seem to be very good at detecting the player, things like this. But the character, when I first saw on Twitter, people were complaining about her face. I'm like, well, this doesn't actually look that bad, right? Especially since you're talking about someone who, like you said, they are supposed to be more on the underground, slimy things, slimy part of, well, a criminal, basically, the criminal world of Star
yeah.
Wars. So it's like you would make sense that a character is going to look a little bit rough and tumble, right? So I thought that was actually probably fine from what I saw. I didn't like have any like major issues like with it
Yeah,
compared
I
to the
mean,
face
there's
model.
always a discussion to have around these particular issues. Okay. And legitimately, I think the woke people just blaming it all on woke is just a tactic. Okay. I don't even think it's a very good one because you really, especially Andy Pants here, I think it's bad for actually having discussions or debates. Okay. Let me actually start with something else that I noticed real quick before I give you examples from the debate, because I like to do
All
my
right, thank you,
research
Beefalo.
here and there. And I found somewhat, he's been doing a lot of debates. That's actually how I found the fact he was doing debates. Associate of mine who might be showing up actually took part in one of his debate series. Okay.
So
This
Andy does
I
debates.
found in Yeah, he went on to a whole string. My friend, my associate, don't know if call someone like G Coop's a friend, but he is definitely an associate, and he appeared on the one before this, the debate stream that Andy Pants Gaming hosted. not going to go into that, but I found this one rather illuminating here. This is fresh to you. Maybe I'm misreading this in general.
Oh, I gotta move on here because I was supposed to stop at 2.
All
Rynse,
right.
what up?
Yeah, what up? My audio sound good? Am I good?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I just wanted to ask your opinion. What do you think of internet grifters?
Is this because you're gonna call me an internet grifter?
No. I'm not calling you an internet grifter.
Okay. I just want to point out here, maybe I'm overreacting. He asked just about general grifters. Andy makes it about him.
I just want to ask you, like, what do you think of people who fake like their opinions and stances on things in order for like money, views, ad revenue, clout? What do you think of those people?
So I think if you're talking about my old channel, I've always been anti.
See, I find that in this beginning, he's just talking about the topic of grifters, and Andy Pants seems to be making it about him. Do you think that's fair to do, Tachyon?
I mean, if you want to be charitable towards AndyPants, right, you could say that, look, one of the things that people in like the anti-SJW sphere and also in the SJW sphere too, they both get accused a lot of being grifters. That like, there's no way you actually like believe this stuff. You're putting out, 7 videos a week about whatever the latest woke video game news is. It's like, is there really that much woke video game news every single day that you can do that? And it seems like sometimes they stretch and reach. Now, individual content creators do. I don't know about AndyPants
Like
specific content, but
whatever.
maybe he's very sensitive about that topic. Perhaps if you want to be charitable.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure if you get into this line of work, you can get sensitivity about it. Okay, I've been following way too many of them. They seem to have certain habits that I don't think are very ethical. Maybe they can compensate for that, their sort of tactics. They're in a culture war. They can justify doing this twisting using these narratives that I can find logical holes in. There's also, this is more of a laugh thing, okay? Just because the first time I heard it, I heard this from Keffels first. Maybe she isn't the first one to use it, but I just want to highlight the L plus ratio argument here.
Ratio is that we're using Twitter logic now?
Brother, what is the cuck chair like? Because you sound like a leftist.
I mean, I guess
I just find that funny because the first time I heard L plus ratio, basically popular using popularity fallacy. What is it? Populum fallacy? Do you know if the fallacies Tachyon?
Appeal to pop. I have no idea what it's called. No.
Yeah, popularity. Okay.
We did skip ahead a lot. Did we miss anything important or?
Nothing. That's the two things I wanted to highlight from this particular one. Sorry, I got to give a little bit of randomness. I feel bad for people who try to follow along. It's the very beginning of that. I think that it was 3 minutes. Did you want to watch the whole thing? Just
It's up
give
to you.
us
I don't know
another.
if there's anything interesting there.
That was the two most interesting things that one was a legitimate point that the sort of pivot moving into the goalpost that I've noticed. Okay. Someone has an initial take and then they more react to the reaction of the initial take, no matter if the initial take was wrong or correct. Especially if it's wrong, they move to the reaction of the reactions. But maybe you haven't seen that.
Again, I can't speak to the specific instance, not having seen the full conversation between them. But I do actually notice this a lot, that people they always double down. It seems it depends on the person. There are people out there who do try to be ethical and operate in a way where they'll own up to mistakes, but maybe it's just something about being human nature, or also being a streamer or political or I guess gaming content creator too. People feel like a very strong social incentive to never admit mistakes because they feel like people either won't forgive them, or they feel like if they do that, then they're looking weak, or perhaps the thing that they're wrong about that they would have to own up to is something that like their community feels strongly about, or that other content creators in their social circle feel strongly about, and they don't want to rock the boat too much.
I understand.
You gay.
Yeah.
Who says I'm gay?
Yeah, there is legitimate reasons to sort of have that sort of effect. Rhetorically effective. Some people will justify the ends justify the means. I typically go against it. Rules for thee, not for me mentality just doesn't fly for me. And yeah, let's start at the beginning because I'd like to
Oh, are we
actually use
reviewing?
actual example.
Are we reviewing the whole
We're
discussion
gonna
between them?
discuss.
Or-
I'm gonna break this down to chunks, see what they say, see our thoughts, and discuss these ideas a little bit more in depth. Because I am not 100% on board with what the Ackman says in a couple of these, and I'm sure you're the same.
All right, well, let's see.
Okay. Yeah. Just get that started. Sorry.
You're not gay. It's just that you were supporting
You didn't follow through with the line, bro. Come on, man.
you were supporting Leon mods that were gay, and you were anti-Ashley mods, and I was wondering why you did that.
Huh? You're wondering why I did. What are you referring to?
For Resident Evil 4, you were in support of Leon mods and in support of gay Leon mods, acting like they were no big deal, and you were again, and then you called people that were pro Ashley mods. You were like, "Oh, they're weirdos."
I don't know if I said the term weirdo. I mean, if you have the tweet, we can go over it or whatever the tweets are.
See, another reason I want to go over the video is because I come from the commentary community where you want to highlight, not speak for people in general. Like what Ackman doing is here is like, okay, you're bringing up a tweet that I might have made a while ago. Can you bring it up to see what exactly I said and how I said it?
Well, if I remember watching this, I don't think Andy ever brings it up, does he? The specific tweet, or
Yeah, he has one tweet, which I actually approve of that practice. He has one tweet, but I do remember Ackman, because Ackman is one of these people who hits a lot, but he does have his misses. Okay. He has his whole overreaction to the quantum TV calling his mom at 3 a.m. challenge. Okay. That's a whole nother thing. He has his moments, but I think he's self-corrected well. And Andy brings up the sort of Payday 3 incident, which I think the Ackman slides a little bit on. But yes, here, I just wanted to highlight another reason why I do this. And let's get to the end.
Do you have that on you?
So what I have here is this is my opening. Why are you?
This is your this is your project file.
This is my Google Doc. So I thought this was one interesting tweet. You said
yeah,
so
I mean we can start off with this stuff, by the way. Like,
dude,
I'm down to freeform.
Dude, I'm just going right
go ahead
into
and
it,
pause
and
it.
feel free to ask me a question whenever you want. But I think a lot of people are familiar with the Nexus.
Sorry, I was sending out the link to someone. Pause.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So, Actman's tweet here. This is false. Nexus mods is not working to delete mods that remove pronouns from Starfield. It's really telling how manufactured most of the outrage is, when so much of it is just straight up lies. Now, actually, I covered this story myself. I had a panel to discuss the banning of the mods as well. This is actually true. They did actually remove these mods.
Yeah, he actually did. If I remember correct, he did correct the record later on, but it definitely is worth criticizing him for not fact checking before he ran with this, especially at his size. Okay. Just not something you want to do if you want to keep credibility. And as for the ethics of that, he goes on to really explain this, and I actually disagree with this take. I mean, I understand his argument, but I don't agree with it. So you don't need to say someone's... I also like the fact you can say, yeah, I disagree with that for this, and this reason. Not because, oh, yeah, you're a shill. I hate that sort of line. Like, you can't prove I'm a shill, okay? You just say it and move on because you don't like my opinion. That's a little weak, man. A little bit weak.
Mods scandal, how they're banned. So people just wanted to remove LGBT trash from games, and Nexus was banning them and not allowing them to. And then the reverse was not
Yeah, I remember this myself. I probably covered, or at least knew about it. I don't cover everything I listen to. There's also the sort of mod that changed the flags. There was a
In the
mod that
Spider-Man
changed
game.
the flags in the Spider-Man game from something to something, and we got an Anna Waifu. Anna Waifu, welcome. It's been a while since I've had you around.
Hey, what's
How's
up?
it going?
It's going good.
Hey, nice to
Not
meet
too
you.
much. Yes, Anna Waifu. I'm not going to say her former Brandon because I don't know her current Brandon, but she is probably more anti-woke than me. She's very critical of the what. Explain it yourself, Anna Waifu. I don't want to misquote you.
What do you mean? Like,
Your stance on wokeness in video games in general.
it's very woke. Very, very woke. It's ruining the gaming industry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So we're talking about the Nexus mods things. Do you remember that back in the past, Anna?
Oh yeah. Fallout New Vegas. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I remember Nexus.
Yes, but we're talking in this particular point in the debate. Ackman had a really stupid tweet. He pretty much was incorrect here, and AndyPants is trying to use this to say he's just a corporate shill, or that would be the funny version of that.
Yeah. I only heard about this Super Andy guy, like I think today before you even sent me that message. But yeah, I do think Ackman is and Andy are pretty shillish. And it's pretty obvious to me. But
And Romeo asked to come in, one of my mods. Romeo, what you got?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Introduce
sorry.
yourself.
My name is Romeo, but I'll be streaming soon once I get my equipment or whatever. That's follow me on Twitter. It should be like Partisis Romeo. But I do have stuff to say on this because I'm in his server, in the AndyPants server, and I got in there like when his what's it called? When I think it was like video games are gay or something. And I was like, okay, he has some good points. And I was like, I'll join the server. And when I joined in, basically they could smell my gayness. So so I just like kind of sat in the shadows, kind of just like watching like everything going on. And then I remember he was like, "Oh, we're gonna like the other day. It was like we're gonna have like a thing with Ackman or whatever. We're gonna do a stream debate." And I was like, "You're not gonna win this or whatever." It was just like, and then I watched clips of the debate and I started laughing. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" It was quite interesting.
Yeah. And the Nexus mod stuff, I think this is really a L take from the Ackman. I understand why he holds this position. So let's continue to get everyone in speed.
Not possible. So basically, people are not allowed to remove
You're not sharing your
LGBT
screen.
stuff from games. And what you
Sorry, I switched views. I was looking. I have a streamer privilege, maybe. You know.
said here was this is false. Nexus Mods is not working to delete mods that remove pronouns from Starfield. And then there was a clarification note that said from Nexus Mods that said this is actually true. If we think someone is uploading a mod on our site with intent to deliberately be against inclusivity or diversity, then we will take action.
Yes, but how do you prove that? Okay. That's a real big question. Ethical concerns, I think. Anyone wish to weigh in on sort of this sort of incident here? Just the sort of ethics against this? Agree, disagree?
Well, I think obviously, since he got the story wrong, he should try to issue a not a retraction, it's Twitter, right? But like try to issue a news statement, and let his audience know that it's wrong if he hasn't done that already.
Yeah, I think he admits to this just a minute or two in a bit. There's the whole argument about it's the headline that sort of gets remembered and the retraction is never sort of thought of. But yeah, I think he did the right thing in this case because I remember people giving him shit for being incorrect at the time and being like, oh, he at least corrected it. A lot of people aren't going to see it, but he corrected the record there.
Against it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
You think this is some kind of like gotcha? Like,
I mean,
when I admit to mistakes, like,
so do you not see the double standard that people are allowed to put like gay stuff in there, but aren't allowed to remove it?
are you talking about Nexus Mods double standard?
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, they're an independent company, aren't they? So they're
No,
allowed to do what they want. Of course, there might be a double standard.
See, let him finish. Sorry. I cut people off way too quickly.
Standard there. But there's also the idea that no matter what they choose, they're going to piss some group of people off, right? If they allow mods like that, they're going to piss off one group. But if they take them down, they're going to piss off the other. So it's really a no-win situation for them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of up to people's own interpretations. But yeah, I believe I corrected that mistake that I made. Maybe a quote retweet or something. So if that's all that can't be all the ammo you have. Surely you've got something stronger.
Oh, no.
You see, like Andy here should have actually continued on that line, okay, a little bit deeper, because I think there's definitely a way to sort of be like, so you're saying corporations can just do whatever they want. They shouldn't be ethically, and frankly, in cases like that, I'm like, yeah, create an alternative rival, okay, alternative market to compete with this Nexus mods and just put them to shame. Be like, yeah, but that would be a smart thing. Just go on.
Oh, it's obviously legal what they're doing. I don't think anybody like really contests that. But and of course, if he has no opinion on it, like you can have no opinion on the topic if you want to. But I don't think it's perfectly reasonable for consumers to have preferences. And if consumers are mod makers, right, if they have preferences like, hey, look, I don't want to be on a site that's more censorious, that's a reasonable concern to have for both the consumer and the mod maker. And also this idea that like, well, some people will be mad if you do, some people mad if you don't, who's to say? I don't know if like that's even really true. Like, I don't know if anybody would really care. Maybe a tiny, tiny fraction of people if they just kept all the mods up.
Yeah, vocal minority, okay. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes this stuff comes back at you, okay? Because the Cloudflare came to regret their decision from basically not supporting Kiwi Farms after the fact, after the Kick Kiwi Farms campaign. Any thoughts from our dear Anna or our dear Romeo, gay man of AndyPants? Well, a lot of communities. Okay.
I mean, I agree. Like, there are a lot of double standards when it comes to mods and stuff, and it's like, well, how come you can ban one and not the other? It's like just let everybody just do whatever the fuck they want. It's mods. It's not going to affect the game. Like, why does it matter? You know.
It's bad press. I think that would be the main argument. The minority would kick up a big deal about it and make it seem like it's worse than it really is. And I don't know that exact context. Maybe the sort of description on the mod was very inflammatory. I would have to check. I mean, there is a difference between being deliberately antagonistic with how you present the mod to sort of try to get kicked off and just being like, okay, for those who don't like the they, them pronouns, I would just make fun of people. Be like, you're just triggered by they, them pronouns that much. You need to download a mod. Okay, have your safe pay. That's how I would approach that personally. I would just be like, yeah, that's how I would approach it personally.
I agree. Like, just if you don't agree with it, just make fun of them and move on. You don't have to take it down. That's,
yeah. I disagree with this principle, and I would make fun of them, but I wouldn't really call that a product. Yeah, well, I guess it is a product of the sort of social justice mindset of the left that has that sort of thing, placating to the loud minority, in my opinion. I could be correct. More people could really be offended by that one simple mod or even the Spider-Man mod. Don't know the details of that, but frankly, yeah.
But also the same applies to them too. If they don't like it, they can just literally go make their own modding site that doesn't
Yeah,
allow
as I
mods like
said.
that. Instead of trying to pressure another modding site to make changes.
Yeah, I really this is the main reason I don't give Eric July as much shit as I give some people. He's doing something. It doesn't matter how high the quality of his product is. He's starting out. He's trying to create a parallel market to the big the pretty much the comic books. And there's a lot of shit in that. I just think competition, but I'm sort of a libertarian mindset a lot of the time. I mean, libertarians I go back and forth with. Let me not get into that sort of a weird thing. But yeah, parallel markets, the marketplace of ideas and products, and there might be problems with that. Okay. Because, yeah, let me not get into really political stuff.
What I do want to say too is the whole policing of mod. Probably the last thing I want to say on this, unless other people on the panel have thoughts. But the policing of the mod stuff, it's literally someone's own gameplay experience. It's not doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. So why would somebody ever be upset about this? Like you could have mods doing whatever you want. I don't really care. It's literally on your computer and your experience. Now there are multiplayer mods in some games that does change things too, but by and large, vast majority of the time, you're talking about a single player experience that really only impacts you, or only impacts other players who also download the mod as a part of your server or whatever it is, if it's a multiplayer one.
Yeah, I mean, gatekeeping's definitely a good discussion to have. I have particular thoughts about that. I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. This isn't the stream for a lot of that. This is supposed to be more about discussing the ideas and placed in front of us. But anyone else have any thoughts about this process? Because I think if I was AndyPants, I'm not him. I wouldn't have such a reductive take on the anti-woke crap as him. And I wouldn't be using these buzzwords I mean, I can appreciate the "Are you gay?" at the he started off when the Hackman came up on. But that's sort of like a meme and but some of this cuck stuff and some of the other stuff just seems like cope to me.
Fence ever hurt? Do the splinters ever hurt from sitting on the fence so much, bud?
Oh, so is this the route you want to go down?
This is the route I want to go down. Let's go.
I appreciate this because, damn man, people who get called fencesitters, I don't think he's a fence sitter here. He's like, the Hackman just, for that example, the Hackman's like, okay, it's a private site. They can do what they want. I think that's a shitty argument, but maybe rhetorically, a smart thing to do here.
Well, but Hackman here, right? He presumably, he's a video game person, right? He talks about video games and critiques them, and things in the industry. All these things are, the vast majority of them, at least probably, things that are legal that these companies do. And he does have a platform. He could speak out against things if he wants to, right? And he probably does in other cases.
Yeah, and he does in certain cases, okay? And he even talks about wokeness. He'll bring up an example later, which we can go over. I need to be careful not to let my mouth go too much. Okay.
Sure.
Dude, just unload the ammo on me. Dude, I'm ready.
Are you sure about this, man? Because I don't think you're cut out for this. I don't think you...
Okay. There's a whole bunch of posturing I want to skip, okay?
You agree that there has been a steep decline.
I'm not going to try to skip too much. It probably is to get... Let's do the commentary thing and get the full context. I just really am concerned about fair use, but I want to make sure we know what they're saying and we're not going to straw man any of what either parties are saying. Weird sort of ethics that I picked up from commentary.
I loved your videos from 7 or 8 years ago. And do you agree that there has been a steep decline in masculinity in video games since that era of like 06, 07? Like, I know you love that era of games. Do you agree
Don't
there
we
has
all?
been a steep decline in masculinity since then in games?
Okay, pause. Just get everyone's panel. Let's start with Romeo. Has there been a steep decline in masculinity?
It depends on the game. Like,
Okay.
I guess action-focused games. Newer ones, I guess you could say, but I mean, I don't feel like there's any like masculine energy that's been lost. And I don't know how you would clarify masculine energy unless it's like, what's it called? Like Gears of War, which is what he usually brings up in his videos a lot. Because that's like something he does all the time. It just brings up like older games with like big guys and stuff. I think just like, in my opinion, like a lot of the games that are being made aren't like the games that were being made back then, per se, if that makes sense.
Yes. That's fine. Getting everyone's statement. And a waifu, masculine. Are the men hot enough, or do they need to be Elvis?
Nope, they ain't hot enough for me, fam.
Okay. You like how they? You're Jack, handsome Jack fan. That's your type of man, I guess. Or
Well,
have you
like-
picked up any new crushes?
No, not really. You know, all my crushes are from older games. Because they're like masculine and like funny and they got personalities. And what do I have today? What do I got?
Yeah, I saw a video going over Concord, and he wasn't using the terminology of woke at all, and he was still tearing apart the characters from a sort of design perspective. Okay, I think that's actually the better way to do it. You don't need to say it's woke. In my personal opinion, you just need to highlight how shitty this sort of design process, and don't let people. The problem with this the sort of rhetoric that I hear from certain people like AndyPants, I think that sort of poisons the well. If you have any sort of talking points that sort of correlate with people like Ademion and AndyPants here, people will automatically like click and assume you're like, yeah, it's a stupid ideology that I do think is diluting basically the design process. But I think, sorry, I will continue. Tachyon, your turn. Oh,
I don't play a whole lot of new releases, so I don't know. I also don't know what it means for like, what do you mean by masculinity? That could mean so many different things to different people. I don't know.
Yeah, Ackman's going to get into it. It is a good question. I can easily answer this because I get caught a fit center, but no, I just don't see. I see things more analytical from a technical perspective, and it makes sense. The more popular games get, and it definitely became a much bigger entertainment online in general. Video games rose in popularity thanks to the lockdown in part. Also change in society. But I think the lockdown pushed a lot of people who would have normally done stuff, went out, got them interested in the internet. Once the lockdown sort of lifted, some people went back to their lives, but some people found the sort of social circles online very interesting. They got more into it. So all forms of online entertainment increased. So it does make sense. Video game companies broaden the market to appeal to a greater demographics. But when it comes to established franchises like Gears of War, more things, sort of trying to get a more female or even a LGBTQ fan base, I think is just from a marketing standpoint to sort of get the mythical wider market, as our dear friend Timon always says, is a mistake strategically for these companies to do. And it is clear that they spend way too much money on these games. It's a middle management problem also. This is another, like, schools getting diversity. Again, let me not get too far into the political thing there. I think we got everything out there that we wanted. Anyone wants to finish up before we actually move on to hear how Ackman? I wanted to get everyone's personal thoughts on this question before we listen to the Ackman answer it.
Well, what would be your term of what masculinity is? Because I have a good idea what masculinity is, but it seems like you guys have different definitions. Kind of curious what that would be.
Okay. I guess before they go on, I meant, Kakian, you said, what is masculinity, right? Do you have a definition?
I don't. So I guess I can give the definition of like things that we would think of as being associated more with masculine traits. Traits, I guess, that are more prevalent in men than women, and feminine traits would be like traits that are more feminine, more prevalent in women than men, like on averages. And so, like, if you have more traits that are more typically associated with males, even if you're a woman, you could say, well, that's a masculine trait of mine. But like, I don't know if I'd be like, well, that's like, I guess, specific ones, right? Like, so I guess like men would be more oriented towards objects and women more towards people. I'm not a psychologist, but I hear that that's the case. So like, that would be like a masculine trait, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm jealous you got to talk to Chris Ferguson a couple of times. I admire that man.
Reach out to him. He'll probably. Oh, actually, no. Wait. What you should do is, Vincent, you should, for my Kickstarter. Okay, Chris Ferguson is going to run a tabletop RPG campaign as a backer reward for my Kickstarter backers for certain ones if you pick a certain tier. So be sure to save up some money and maybe you'll be able to play an RPG with him.
Oh, good. This is what I like about you, Tachyon. You know how to slip that the promo material in there. Yeah, his book was pushing it back against violent video games cause violence in the real world. I really appreciated a lot of his research on it, especially when you look at what's when you get into the actual other research, which seems laughable. But let me not nerd out too much. But
can I also give like another answer too? Like, so, like that's how I would define masculine and feminine, I guess, more towards like
it'd be pretty similar along those lines.
But I guess like if you want to like use like a traditional definition, right? You could say that like, well, does the character have like big muscly arms, or like things like that too? Like, do they really like bodybuilding? Like bodybuilding, I don't know what the exact gender demographics are for bodybuilders, but like that would be something that would probably traditionally be seen as masculine, right? So like Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5, but not really Chris in his other appearances in the same way. He might have other masculine traits, but not the same masculine trait that he does in 5 in that way.
Okay, we got another call in. I believe a friend of Romeo. I love a little chaos, so let's throw some in. Introduce yourself.
Hello.
Yep.
Hey, what's up?
Give us an introduction, and if you have anything to shill beforehand, yeah, definitely put in private chat so I can link it later. Okay, I know you have a comic book. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can show them the comic, but I'm not really on the YouTube chat right now, and for some reason my earphones are not working. I might have to join on a different device or something. I don't know, but basically, hi, I'm an old chunk of coal. I like Norm Macdonald a lot. He's really funny. That's all I really have to say. But in regards to the question, I believe there was a question just now about masculinity or some shit.
Yes. What do you think it is? Yeah, you can answer that. That's a good one.
One part of it for me is the confidence in your own self, right? So if you're a man and you have confidence in yourself as a man, you would. Well, there's no problems there. And same thing for a woman. Like if you're a woman and you're confident in yourself as a woman, there's no problems, right? And that's why like I wouldn't consider trans women or trans men to be actual men or women because they're so unconfident in their own selves. They have to like change their literal biology or attempt to change it. We know. I know. I mean, from what I've heard, like the medical stuff, it doesn't work very well. But yeah. That's why I
I
think
think
it's
there's
kind of a,
problems in there. There's definitely some problems in there. How does it relate to video games and these sort of ideas? I think it's just very. We were just talking about Chris Ferguson, who sort of dispelled the myth that violence in video games causes people to become violent. And as for the sort of trans thing, which you brought up, don't demonetize me, YouTube. Okay.
sorry, man. Sorry, I didn't.
No,
My bad.
I tend to exaggerate. I jumping off of AndyPants energy.
Well,
But yeah,
I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's exactly the same. I don't think that like the trans person like lacks confidence. Like I don't know if I like you describe it that way. It's probably more of like a mental disorder that causes them to have
yeah,
dysphoria.
it's
that they need to be
gender
treated for.
dysphoria is in the DSM-5. Okay, I think there's a lot of problems in the research of that, but in the video game context, how the reason that I hate that sort of narrative of the anti-woke, that these woke games are going to trying to turn people trans, it just seems very similar to the sort of violent video game argument. It's not the same, but unless there's subliminal messaging, I found.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I got a question. Okay, so what? Yeah, have you seen the character creation screen from Dragon Age or whatever? The new
Yes,
one.
I've been seeing people touting that around. Okay, the sort of scar tissue, which they are
Yeah, all
attributing
that
to,
shit.
getting rid of the boobs.
No, my question is like, what kind of a confident, like what kind of person is like thinking to themselves that they're not happy with what they're seeing in fucking video games to the point where they would change it to this point, to this like, they change it that much, right?
Well,
Like,
even as a
I guess I don't
guy,
understand is
I am fine with scars. Scars show characters, and although I find the sort of transition,
no, but this like
scars,
specific thing with like needing to flaunt this like specific kind of identity is just, I don't know. It's really tacked on to me, you know.
I'll agree. Inserting that sort of stuff into video games is definitely cringe, in my opinion. Okay, you don't. But some people need to live the fantasy. Okay, like years ago, there was people talking about there aren't any good black hairstyles. Blah blah blah. I'm like, you can turn your character black, so you're complaining about the black hairstyle from. It was typically from Soft. I forget what Dark Souls game it was, and I think they even corrected that in Elden Ring. More options is always better, in my opinion. Okay, and yeah, you can call the sort of being proud, but I can sort of relate to possibly the psychology of trans people. They feel like they want a war, whether or not they should have made that choice or not. They do see this as like a proud. I can see how they can see it as a proud battle scar. Even if you think that is stupid, I can understand. Like men fighting together, they'll show off scars to each other. Manliness. I see that sort of as a manly trait that would probably appeal, because my idea of manliness isn't confidence. It's more about what attracts you. Okay, men tend to be more impulsive, more concentrating on things. Because I'm not a big fan of blank slate theory. I do agree that there is a overlap. I forget what from the research what the overlap between men and women is. I think it's 40%, but it's you don't really determine things by the outlier. Men tend to follow a particular trend, and women tend to follow a different trend. One's more direct, physically oriented, and blah blah blah. Why women tend, for the most part, it's not a majority. And that's my thoughts on that, which I probably rambled out a little bit way too much. Okay. Anyone else want to really put out any thoughts off of that? Because the confident thing, I can understand why you would like. It's always good to be confident, but there are mental illnesses, and gender dysphoria is a mental illness. What is the best prescription for it? I think that is definitely a discussion. But how it goes into video games, I think I laid that out already.
Yeah. Well,
Ready to move on?
I'll just say that I don't really care if you have trans characters in games. If you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. I think there probably are stories involving trans people that you could tell that could be unique, uniquely told through a game format. I've only not really played it, but Tell Me Why, I think, was one of the games that is brought up a lot. Now, I don't think that like every game has to have a trans person, obviously. But if the creator wants to go that route and tell a story involving a trans character, I think that's fine. That's your artistic choice, and there's gonna be some people out there, possibly some trans people, who find enjoyment, and also other people too, just like the game.
Yeah. And let's separate it out that there should be games for trans people, but games that cost like a couple $1 million at such a small demographic to sort of tune it to appeal to that demographic seems just ludicrous from a business perspective. You want to go with your main audience. I can understand the argument for toning stuff down, not for trigger warnings, because trigger warnings, I think the research shows, actually has the inverse effect.
Yeah,
but
there is
I'm
some
the type of
studies
guy.
showing that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, anything Anawaifu, or don't want to throw your ring into this hot potato subject?
No, I for me personally, it's just why do they put the trans character in there? Because this is a multi-million-dollar company, you know. Like for indie games, it's more forgivable because it's made by one person, even if I don't agree with it. Like, you know, Hat in Time just has a random trans flag, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Like, well, I don't know why that's there, but whatever. But for like a AAA company, it's like, you know, come on, you know, you're following trends. You know that trans and, you know, the fist is like a popular
Yeah, a lot of the super
topic.
Yeah,
You know,
I do understand. Why do you want to take that risk? Okay, are you
Which
trying to
game?
bait?
Sorry, go ahead, Vincent.
No, which game? He's just asking what game are you using as an example, because we like examples around here.
for indie or for AAA?
For
Or
AAA.
AAA, the game where they throw a trans person in.
Well, not let's see. Not trans exactly, but it has like trans messages, or it just has like this weird like undertone with, like, you play Cyberpunk 2077, it has like all these weird customization options where it's like, oh, you can be like a Fuda, or you can like you could be a man with a vagina or something. And it's like, that's just kind of weird, but it's just like, and then you see like the E3 award shows and stuff, and it's just kind of weird. Like, I don't remember a game that has specifically trans people in it, but it has like trans undertones to it. And it's very strange.
Well, I do. So, like, character customization, I'm all for having more options. So, like, if you can be a Fuda in Cyberpunk, that's pretty fucking badass. That's awesome. I think there are some examples of AAA games with trans characters, though. Like, Mass Effect 3, I think, had Hanley Abrams. And there was
also
Prim from Dragon Age, I think. Dragon Age Inquisition.
But is it even trans? The non-binary stuff gets a little bit weird.
Yeah, I don't. I've not played Dragon Age, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I had to make a list.
I've heard.
I had to make a list of trans characters to ask people for my survey.
Fair enough. Yeah. As for aliens, it's saying they need to follow the sort of male-female dichotomy or other species that you invent yourself. I see the argument for like changing they, them, elves, or established creatures like that. You would have to have a good explanations for why they wouldn't be male or female. Hell, I think Super Mutants and Fallout series are all seem male, but you talk to someone and you find out they're female. You're like, you're a female? Yeah, the mutation made them look all the same. So I find that quite interesting, where everyone gets more typically the sort of traits, big, broody, and stupid, which would be considered masculine traits by some people, which I find a little bit funny. But yeah.
Anna, what do you think of Erica from Catherine?
God, I have not played that in forever. What the hell was she again? Was she like this red-haired trans person or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, she was the waitress at the bar.
Oh yeah. See, that's not a big problem for me really, because it's weird. Like Japanese games, when they do like trans characters or gay characters, it's not cringe. It's only American games where it's like it's just kind of cringe. But it's like in Japanese games like that, it doesn't really affect me really. It's weird.
Tachyon Blue, are traps gay?
Yes.
You don't have to.
I
You
don't
don't
really
have
care.
to answer that.
Yeah, I don't really have
doing
any
it
strong
for
views one or the other.
I'm doing it for the meme. I'm doing it for the Rip Total Biscuit, I believe. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that
Toxicon,
man.
yeah.
Even if he just got sick of all the sort of crap thrown at him for his stance on Gamergate. Okay, I can understand why he got pissed about that question, but it's a good meme. It's a good meme in my opinion. Okay, let's move on. I'm sure plenty more to really pull from.
Steep
Really
decline.
talking
I
for
mean,
like talking for like almost an hour. We only made 11 minutes through the
This is
Yeah, I
not
got
just
hard
about.
out in like an hour and a half. Just a heads up.
That's fine. That's fine. People come in and out. I will get through this whole thing. Some side content, some discussion among us, I think is good. Okay, even if it does make some people uncomfortable. I definitely not a fence setter on certain particular issues.
there's obviously still instances of games that have masculine protagonists, sure, but I would have to watch your masculinity video in its entirety. I think I watched about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And
But-
that one hit the algorithm. I
Yeah.
noticed a change in the type of content your channel has.
I have to remark, this is really slick of the Hackman to do it. I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong, but I think this is a little bit sly. Okay, he could have a legitimate point here. Okay, what audience capture or do what gets you popular. Okay,
But to answer your question, if there's been a steep decline, how do you quantify masculinity? I mean, like the Doom games, like 2016,
Well, dude,
Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages coming out. We just had Space Marine 2. That's pretty fucking masculine. I mean, Leon Kennedy, Resident Evil 4 remake. I think Leon Kennedy's a fucking badass, pretty masculine. Isaac Clarke, the Dead Space remake, pretty fucking masculine.
Exactly, but which is a remake of a 2007 game.
Right, but those are still remakes released within the last couple of years, all featuring protagonists that we all consider to be fucking Giga Chads. So
Right, but I'm saying-
obviously there's some contention around your premise that masculinity has fallen off on a steep decline or something. In some
Okay,
ways, sure. Maybe there's more pandering.
Right,
Go
well,
ahead.
I'm just saying that we had Medal of Honor, we had Sam Fisher, we had Ghost Recon, we had all of these great like masculine characters in games, and it seems like everything now is either a remake. Like what new very masculine character?
okay. I was tempted to pause it. Okay, the remake craze is that is quite interesting. Wish Romeo was back in here, but he had other things to handle because we did a whole sort of discussion stream about the remake of Silent Hill 2. And I found it interesting. Some of the trailer stuff, they took the criticism and at least in part and sort of explained some of the reasons. Like a lot of people were worried about the sort of character model for fucking hell. What's the main character of that? I'm horrible with names. But yeah, the main character of that, they explained the process. In one iteration, they had the thought process of aging up the main character to age with the characters. And that might have been actually a suggestion from the original dev team of Silent Hill 2. I think they ultimately be like, no, we're going to we're going to use the younger model after talking to each other. Feedback from the trailers and talking it out. They decided to go with him at the age he was when they originally made the game. What jury's still out on that. I'm curious of how the reception of Silent Hill 2 is. The remake stuff, I'm sure Anna Waifu has so much for that.
I'm not hyped for that Silent Hill 2 remake. It looks like shit to me personally. God, what did they do to fucking what was his name again? The main character, I forgot his name.
I forgot his name too.
Sunderland.
Tachyon, can you help us out? The protagonist, James.
I've
I
actually
think?
never
James
played any.
Sunderland.
Yeah, James what it
Oh,
says on the
God.
wiki, but I've actually never
You're just a
played any
fake
of the
gamer.
Silent Hill games. I know,
You're a fake
I
gamer.
am, it's true.
Okay.
Hey, but the Resident
Oh.
Evil 2 remake I felt was really good actually.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that one. 3, I had a lot of problems with. Okay, that was more design wise. Okay, just the nemesis coming in. There's so many problems with that game mechanically. I'm not gonna blame the woke. I'm just gonna think they're up their own farts and wanted to try to improve the game and put a terrible mechanic, in my opinion, into that where nemesis comes after you just from the start. I understand the logic behind it, but yeah. The first one, the second one, and even the fourth one wasn't bad for the remakes. Okay. Thoughts on remakes? Simple enough. It's out there.
Has come in a game recently.
New?
Yeah.
Are you talking like entirely new franchise?
Right. It's not a remake of a 2007 game because that just proves my point that games back in the day were more masculine and everything's feminine now.
I think you're just moving the goalpost because you were talking about masculinity in video games, and I gave you several examples of protagonists, but now you're saying, what about new characters? So you're kind of just moving the goalposts on this.
I don't have to move the goalposts. Dead Space is a remake of a 2007 game, so that proves my point. So,
Yeah.
but you disagree. You disagree that games are have been feminized. You disagree that.
Yeah, Andy needs to fucking go to coaching for this debate stuff. He definitely is shifting around. Okay. It makes him seem like an unreliable narrator. Okay. It makes him seem like the grifter point is correct here. Whether that's the case or not.
If he was going to approach this in a better way, he could be like, hey, look, I've got a list of like the top 20 games from this year, for the year before, and the year before that.
Yes.
And out of these lists, there's only like 4 games that have characters that I would consider to be masculine. I think that that's a problem. I think that we need greater diversity in terms of the types of, I guess, characters that are made in games. Right?
Yeah. You have actual facts to back it up, actual examples to pull from. Much more efficient. Okay. You don't even need to have them on screen. Just if you're going to try to bait someone, which is what it seemed like AndyPants Gaming was trying to do with the Ackman. Okay. You need to be prepared for handling questions like this and not just go with these meme responses, in my opinion. Okay. It just hurts your own argument. Okay. And strengthens people's belief that you don't believe in this shit. There's a certain energy you need to put out there if you want to convince people. Of course, not everyone's out there to convince people. That's the best response I've heard all night.
Masculinity is in decline in video games. Is that what you're saying?
I disagree with some parts of what you've said. Yeah.
Okay. Has the check cleared for Payday 3?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. All right. Hit the bank account.
Yeah, sure did.
Okay.
It's great that someone is you can finally confront me on that, man. Oh yeah, go for it.
Good.
Okay, I like this. Okay, he's putting this out. I think he wants someone to go after him for this. Okay, curious about that because he has a very logical explanation here.
Good, because it was trash. I don't see how you could justify. I mean, right now there's like 5.
Do you want an actual explanation, or are you just looking for cheap gotcha moments? Because I'm telling you, man.
No,
my closet is clean,
dude.
Okay?
I do want,
and I have found a lot in yours.
Oh boy,
okay.
I do want an actual explanation.
Okay, well, the explanation is that the version of Payday 3 that I played in New York, I was told by certain people at the company, like I guess the word liaison would be the right word, like the creator liaison, the person who's talking to the content creators and telling them the plan and all that. And I had gotten back from the New York event and I had checked the footage because they sent us all home with flash drives. I checked the footage.
I'm probably going to try to skip through this a little bit. What are your thoughts on how he's coming across with his explanation here? It seems logical to me. seems very solid and makes sense logically. Is it true? I don't know. Or is this just some bullshit? Thoughts?
I mean, I think it's good that he's trying to lay out what happened, at least what he says happened. Now, obviously, he's a huge creator, over 1 million subscribers. If he's lying about this, I imagine someone's gonna mention, like, "Hey, wait a second, that's not true." But we'll see. If nobody contradicts it, then it's good that he's being transparent, talking about what happened.
This is typically how this goes. Okay. He's just sort of going on a little bit too long with his explanation. I think this is a bad look, not having this prepared and sort of laying it out. I think it's optically a bad look, having this whole speech. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead just a few seconds, just to cut down things, fair use and all. I'm trying to be morally consistent and ethical about it. I do want to cut parts, and I do encourage people to watch this debate themselves and make up their own mind, but be critical. No matter what your bias is, no matter what your bias may be, you should actually look at what's being said and try to distinguish between what's true and what you believe to be true. And I hit the wrong button. Sorry, I cut you guys out. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. But yes.
Impression that, okay, I'm going to post this video. I'm leaving for a trip, and I'm going to post this video before I leave. And I hope it doesn't turn into a shit show. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I do have serious regrets about that, because if I had just done a better job in the intro of saying, like, hey, the game is not out yet, this, please wait for reviews. I wish I had done that. Yeah. Repentance.
I mean, it definitely gives him a sense of sincerity, him going out. Like, it's not just a script, at least. Okay. And he admits he did something wrong. It's the one okay thing about Ackman is sometimes he'll admit when he's wrong. Okay. I think that's important if you want to maintain your credibility.
Yeah. I think it's always good that if you make a mistake, that you try to own up to it and correct it. So.
Yeah, there's not much more to say on that. It just is smart optically, and as someone who's trying to be for the consumer gamers, and I mean, no, that it's just optics is definitely important within content creation. Okay, and credibilities should be important. Okay. I wish it was consistency was a little bit more within the people who want to fight against these people coming in, because I do agree. There are people trying to come into the games industry now that it's growing and trying to make their sort of grand entrance. But when some of these people come in with some of the more meme-like arguments, I have problems with that, when arguments aren't based on facts or even logic in some cases. But that's probably just a me problem, right?
No, I mean, I agree.
Mistakes.
I agree with you there. I think that not much to disagree with that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to go forward.
And ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
You're a religious man, aren't you?
I am, and I appreciate that because several people had brought that up to me, and it's good for you to hear an explanation for it. I
mean, that's the simpler explanation is that maybe it was a miscommunication from this guy. Maybe he was told something by someone higher up, and he relayed that to me, like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it's a newer build," and so, like, these people had.
This is definitely an unfair tactic from the Ackman. AndyPants was going on with what he was going to go on, which seemed to be a little bit of admiration, a little bit of a starstruck that Ackman came on. He should have been prepared for this a little bit better, but he sort of Ackman sort of stepped on whatever point Andy might have actually had here. Interesting little tactic I'd just like to point out rhetorically. Even if I am more on Ackman's side in this sort of discussion they're having.
Ugh.
The event was professional, everything except like the small technical difficulties. I hadn't ever really done like pre-release reviews, and Halo Wars 2 and Payday 3 are the only two events where I think I've been actually invited out to.
Mhm.
I talk a lot of shit, so if you want to accuse me of
he does. He does a lot of baiting online also.
things.
Did you? So you truly liked Black Ops 6? You truly like the new Call of Duty game? Because that feels like we're waiting for the check to clear from Activision as well.
See, the funny thing is that parts of your audience don't know that you're joking.
No, I'm not joking, brother. I swear to God.
I hear you laughing. Like,
I'm not impressed by this part of the debate. It just seems like I don't know how to describe. Anyone else getting that vibe that they're just
Nothing of value.
yeah, this is just fluff, okay. I mean, you're gonna have these things. They're taking these little moments are sort of jabs at each other. He's calling the Act-Man a corporate shill. Act-Man used this whole speech explaining about the bad takes he has. He has explanations that seem to make sense. I could probably pick apart the logic if I really wanted to, but that's sort of the debate brain thing that I would rather not fall into. I'd rather just point out genuine things that I see with it.
I'm saying this.
Are you going to call me out for that? Okay, genuine things. I like to joke. Okay.
No, I was just saying, if I wasn't watching this with you, I would have turned this off. Like, this is like this conversation isn't really going anywhere with them. They're just kind of like.
I really should have made a lot more markers.
It does pick up a little bit later on, but yeah,
it does. And there's definitely conversations that I think are missed here.
Like, if the Act-Man is so like if he's so like, oh yeah, you're wrong, dude. It's like, okay, well then give him like 20 examples of masculine characters in modern day. Why are you like, why are you stalling?
Well, he did give a few. He did give a Space Marine.
Okay, but give me like 20 of them. Like prove to me that this generation is the best generation, like people say it is sometimes. You know, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I hate this almost post-truth future we're living in. I don't know if people are being serious or if they're just joking or memeing. Okay, and yeah, I can understand. I get into that a little bit. I'm willing to. I try to compensate with that by being able to clarify any of my particular opinions when I get a little bit jokey. Try to let that cover it, but first impressions sometimes just turn people off, and humor is subjective. Okay. And yeah, jumped a little bit ahead, and I'm sorry that I didn't do a better job of marking some of these places apart.
This was satire at first, what you were doing. I thought you were making fun of video game critique. Video game. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just because I'm chuckling doesn't mean this is a joke. I 100% think the game is trash, and you honestly, legitimately think I'm being paid by Activision, dude. I do wonder if it's secondhand.
You're a smart guy. You're not retarded. Let's not insult both of our intelligences here, okay? If you genuinely think I'm being paid by Activision, you have never watched a single Call of Duty video I've made.
You're still talking about the game though, so I'm trying to piece a lot of these things together, like why.
And you're doing a really bad job of it.
Why
by the
you
way.
don't talk about woke stuff? Why you there's certain rakes.
Okay, good questions. Sort of bounce off on. I don't want to cover too much without not being additive. Yeah, I've heard. I did research. I got other people's opinions, and they seem to make sense. He doesn't want to talk about the woke stuff because not everyone's into the culture war. They think it's a distraction. I even agree. I'm finding as I'm getting older and learning more about this stuff, I agree partially with Mr. Mediker on this, okay? Maybe it's just my particular take on that. Any thoughts on that particular, the woke stuff?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm even tired of hearing about it all the time. You know, like that's why I fell off Synthetic Man. Like I think like a year ago, because it's like I can't watch a channel where that's his whole identity is like, look at this woke thing, look at this. It's like that you're not helping anything. Like it doesn't. Who cares? Like I don't mind if someone talks about it sometimes, but when it's like your whole thing, I hate it. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I agree. Yeah, it seems like a really weak thing, and it just makes you sound like you're not genuinely want politics out of it. You just don't want certain politics in it. Like the masculinity thing, depending on how you frame it, you could have a very traditional view on masculinity and sort of trying to oppose that as a standard, as an industry standard, when there's a vast amount of people. And there is a good sort of discussion to have that more left-leaning people are more creative, so they're more likely to go into video game development. I don't see how that is really their problem, that they're putting their sensibilities in it, especially since they still go on.
I do wonder too, and I don't work in the industry, at least not in any like traditional sense, but I do wonder how much there is a culture that is very much that. Yes, of course, obviously creative types tend to be more liberal. That's a pretty known thing, liberal or progressive. But it's also, I wonder how much too from like the Gamergate days when you saw game developers being attacked, like you saw Tim Sray getting attacked, for instance, and many others as well, including the Hogwarts Legacy developer Troy Levitt, for instance. When you did see these people getting attacked for basically not even having conservative views, but like either having more like liberal views or supporting Gamergate, things like this. I wonder how many people in the industry got either pushed into silence or pushed out of the industry, basically, or pushed out of the Overton window because of this, and that this could have had like a chilling effect too on who works in the industry as well. I don't know if that's the case, to be clear, but like,
yeah,
it's not entirely without merit, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree. The concern for sort of going there, some people get a little bit. I think personally, just from what I've seen personally, that I think some people get the pass too hard who lead into the conservative thing. I'm not going to give any examples here, but you interviewed someone who sort of got it outed. What was it? Troy Levitt, who originally was associated with Hogwarts Legacy. Okay. That was a whole shit show that hell, even the Ackman's going to bring up that he found that stupid from a games perspective. I think all gamers should have been on board with, yeah, you're literally creating a list to harass streamers to do it. Yeah, it's a little sus, man. I don't know if it's illegal or even unethical. I would say it's definitely walking up to that line, creating a list of offenders, the people who sort of streamers who did that, and even Hassan Piker, he at least acted like he wanted to play the game, but he's like, I don't want to get bullied by my own audience for playing the game. That's how I sort of read his sort of response.
And it wasn't just the yes, of course, the harassment of the streamers was bad. I disavow that, but it also too, Wired reviewed the game and gave it a 1 out of 10 because they didn't like J.K. Rowling. They disagreed with her politics on the trans stuff. And so they gave the game a 1 out of 10 because of that. And then also, too, you had many articles coming out attacking Troy Levitt, basically considering him like a moral monster in the games press because of his support for Gamergate and because of some of the things he said on his YouTube channel that they disagree with, some of his takes.
He wasn't even hard support. He just understood.
He is neutral. Yeah, he is neutral on Gamergate. He identifies as neutral, but he was sympathetic.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure to clarify. He's not.
No, thank you. Yes, you're right.
But he can completely, from what I understand, he definitely is sympathetic towards Gamergate, and basically because of how he was treated. Okay. Think what you want about the game. I tend to get really annoyed when people start targeting people in the industry, especially when they're not the head, the face of the company. It just seems weird, okay, going after individuals who have small little parts within the greater thing and making them seem like the trend when it's almost like cherry picking, okay? I find that to be deceptive. Maybe some people can be like, yeah, look at where the industry is. Of course, we're going to point out these obvious examples. I can understand that logic, but the other logic, sorry.
Well, how do you think about that? Because obviously, to some extent, if you're in the games industry, depending like what role you're in, I guess, but like a lot of these people are public figures, and a lot of them are very active on social media. A big part of being a game developer seems to be that, for a lot of people, at least for the indie scene, seems to be having networking with people on social media and building, interacting with your fans and your audience, and also other developers, marketing people, games journalists, content creators, etc. And how much, like, if somebody says or does something that's like genuinely wrong, like if they do something that's like genuinely unethical, I think like criticizing them for that is fine. But I also think, or if they even like say something that's like pretty crazy and like, okay, like, I want to disagree with you, not, try to destroy their lives or cancel them or anything, but just like, but hey, look, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about that. And I think that that's all perfectly fine and probably good to some extent, like, especially if you're talking about people who are engaging in unethical conduct, to have those conversations. But I do think too that there's this tendency to focus so heavily on individual people because they have a tweet and there's a lot of dumb tweets out there.
Oh,
I don't know.
I've even made plenty. I'm sure I've made plenty. I won't admit to any of them. Well, I'll admit to like one or two of them. But yeah, there are dumb tweets, and sometimes people say stupid stuff or don't think about it. And some people just won't apologize, won't acknowledge it. They'll just move on. Okay. And I find that shameful, especially if you have sort of a voice, influence in the sphere. Okay. I think that should be the focus of this. Why go for the sort of actress or actor who played a role? Why not look into who actually hired them? But that's the whole ethical versus efficient trade. Okay. Yes. Tactically, it might be fine to attack the face for repeating the message that they're not handlers, but their employers sort of put out there. But you're sort of misplacing. The people behind the scenes are protected, and they just put these other people to sort of be a shield, like Gamergate, not your shield. Okay. That sort of whole concept comes into the whole factor there. Right. And I'm totally freaking, we have a hater of the Act-Man. You are for AndyPants, Miss Sparkles? Sorry, I went on a rant, but yeah. Act-Man, I have problems. I think some people give him too much shit. Like, a lot of people give him shit about his Diablo 4 take, but I've sort of opted out after Diablo 3. That was my preference. Diablo 3 just wasn't for me, so I'm not very excited about Diablo 4. So I don't know about Act-Man's coverage. The fans are crazy. Fans are cray-cray sometimes, okay? Sometimes they're justified with their craziness, their crazy takes. Sometimes it just seems really misplaced.
That you avoid stepping on. And I wonder if it's to be more palatable to your corporate handlers. Okay, all right. I knew you were going to deny that, so it's fine.
What?
Here's my other
No.
question.
Yeah, why would he not deny it? Do you have any solid evidence? I hated his whole video. I'm like, just because he's not talking about it, because he doesn't focus on it. It's like, it seems to be a push to get normies and more moderate people to take a stand. And I always find that a little bit weird. Maybe they are shills, okay? If they're shills, follow the money, okay? Find evidence of it. Not just, oh, they don't see this or this. Yeah, maybe they have a different perspective. Maybe they think that the culture war bullshit sort of dilutes the discourse within it. And in Act-Man's case, when he'll bring it up later. He likes obvious examples that he can factually go on. But he also has a connection with commentary community, and he's had to deal with them. I think his approach is good, technically. He's willing to have a discussion about this. What are your guys' thoughts on his approach? Is it snaky or is it something you approve of in theory, as long as he's being honest about it, which we can't know either way.
Well, I don't know what his approach is with the commentary community. I don't really know Axeman or Andy, so
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's better to engage. As a content creator myself, like if I were ever involved in some sort of drama for some reason, I'd probably be very open and transparent. And I would like just say, hey, fuck it, you want to come on and talk about it? I'd go a few hours with whatever commentary streamer, generally speaking, unless it was like someone who's like obviously being very, very bad faith or something, right? But even then,
Yeah,
I probably do.
See, I generally just don't go down the racist, transphobic, because the sort of the way to prove that is just too. I don't want to prove that. Okay, I don't need to prove that. You can prove other things, like focusing on this woke stuff. Sometimes, a lot of the time, in my opinion, distracts from real issues I see in the gaming industry and in video games. Okay, it's like a misdirection. Like, you have all these people saying it's this, and this. It's the ideology. Yeah, I think the ideology's cringe. I think there's some places, like with the whole Elden Ring. I don't know if anyone remembered the Elden Ring, the woman talking about accessibility, and a couple of commentators sort of gave her shit for it. It gained traction on at least X.
I do think, though, I do. Maybe you'll disagree with me, Vincent. I don't know if you will, Anna, but I do think that like not liking the woke stuff, quote unquote, I think it's like a valid consumer preference. So.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you should force people to also call out the woke stuff if they're fine with it. Okay.
Yeah, true.
I do see a push to try to be like pressure them socially, like with the Act Man. He actually asked about Sweet Baby Inc. He's like, I've been hearing about Sweet Baby Inc. You know what when I looked into the X stuff, what happened? Everyone was like, apologized as. I'm like, why? Okay. Az had an unhinged rant. Okay. It made him look like a lunatic. That is a bad look. That was just a bad look. And he just moved past the goalpost and had all his friends defend him. It was the first time I'm like, oh my God, these guys are acting like social justice warriors. And I can't shake that since then. They don't care about the initial post. Because I think the sort of pronouns, yeah, I could understand being bothered by them. And even the sort of, I'm also a big sci-fi guy. And as his take on the freaking female clone of the male guy just completely blew my mind. No, this is not a trans allegory. Why are you trying to make this incredible case? This is very common in science fiction. Have you not watched science? Oh, you watched Doctor Who. This happened in Doctor Who. The doctor put his hand in the machine and bam, pretty much his DNA was recombined and came out as a female. Okay. You didn't have a problem with that. And I can understand that the culture, I've talked to a lot of people about that during the time, and I can understand how the culture can make you overreact to that. And even as a content creator, why you might overplay it, but you should just own it. You should have just owned it. Be like, yeah, I had a rant. I was trying to be a little bit funny. I think there's some legitimate concerns with that, but he just got ass mad and had all his friends treat it like, yeah, it's everyone else who's the problem. I'm like, dude, just say it was a cringe moment. You were exaggerating for comedy appeal, and because this is part of the problem. Am I rambling too much with this, or am I getting across
a little bit? We gotta power through this bad boy, okay?
I'm sorry. I am prone to rants.
I'll answer that question.
Yeah.
I'll answer that. Why do I avoid? So I watched about 2 minutes of your woke YouTubers video, and I could not stop laughing. And I was like, I gotta sit down, get some popcorn, and really enjoy this. Right. I especially liked the part where you were like, why don't these YouTubers talk about racism directed towards white people?
Yes.
And you know what? You're right, bro. I started working on a new video. It's called "Why is the Great Replacement Theory So Bad?" And I think
What do you think of his use of humor? And I will remark, Yeah, my rant was too much, obviously. And a wife who ran away. She's like, why do I associate with this guy again? I'm out of here.
It just seems a little bit out of place to be like. But I think what's interesting, and we'll get to this in a minute probably, but when they have the discussion about Concord and the lack of white characters, I think that's something I want to touch upon.
Okay. We'll just move through. As I said, hell, there's a good reason I call myself a mad scientist of YouTube. Sometimes madman with the YouTube channel.
The fans are going to love it. We're just hard pivoting to political content on my main channel. I'm all in. I'm like you, man. I'm all in.
Dude, I get it. You want to protect your money. You want to protect your cash. And the way you do that is by playing both sides.
I am true to myself, Andy.
I want to protect my money too. I get it.
I know, at the cost of your own soul, man. You are sacrificing something that when you go up to the man upstairs, he's gonna know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I've gone through your history.
Okay, you finding this sort of a line of pivot? I would consider it a pivot of a sort. I understand where the Ackman's coming from. Do you not knowing much about Ackman understand this?
I don't. So if he's like, are either of them like? I know they talk about religion later on, but like either of them like make religion a big part of their identity online?
I think AndyPants has brought it up before as sort of a.
Well, it's
sort
fair
of
then, I guess, but like
it's okay.
But it's also
Okay,
like I don't know. I don't personally find the religious stuff to be like convincing, but I'm also an agnostic. So,
well, I've criticized John F. Trent of That Park Place a lot, but that's because I find post-liberalism and sort of quoting the Catholic Church a little bit weird in his articles to support. That's it. I'm not going to dwell on that.
I have all the archives. I have the community post you deleted yesterday about us. You're so bad at deleting things and hiding things from your audience, bro. I have it all. Okay. Are you familiar with poker terminology?
And I want to see all of it. And I want to see all of the ammo that you have on me.
All right. Well, I mean, you're in a position where the leopards might come to eat your face.
Oh, I can't wait.
When your audience sees the things you've tried to hide from them,
go for it.
They will turn on you. Some of them will.
Tell us what I've hidden from my audience. Go for it.
All right. Well, we could start off live.
Oh, pulling the stuff up. Okay. Putting AndyPants on the defense. Okay. I mean, I agree. He just keeps putting stuff out that it's just common belief. Like he's a shill. He gets paid by activism. There's really no proof of it. And it's a little bit lame to try to bring it up as standards of evidence. I think for something like Johnny Depp trial, I really hate getting political, but this is the best example about that. Evidence is the best way to sort of sunlight is the best disinfectant, I think. And using evidence to prove points, I think, is just much stronger than just going off of weird ass, what I consider conspiracy theories sometimes. You can say how, you know what I mean about that? The sort of burden of proof, I think, is something.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's so interesting too is how much like people like to live in vagaries. And I guess like a great example of this, rather than being vague myself, is like when people criticize like the media. Like I criticize like quote unquote the media all the time. Like it's like the main thing I do kind of with my book, I guess. But like how many people just like, oh, like the media is wrong about everything. And so like therefore they just like don't believe anything that they say. Everything that you read in the New York Times is immediately wrong, or Wall Street Journal, or whatever it happens to be, right?
It's a reactionary position.
World. Right. But like that's everything now. Everything's reactionary. It feels like so many people on both sides just have that mindset where they just I think it's more prevalent among conservatives actually right now. I think that it really is, where there's this, which isn't to say it doesn't happen on the left too. I'm sure it absolutely does. But or like the far left, I think too, like the pro Gaza people, like not pro Gaza but pro Hamas people. demonstrate that soon.
Yeah. Oh God, that's definitely a breaking point. That's bad for anyone who's leftist out there. Bad optics, bad tactics. Yeah, it's. I hate doing this sort of isms, but it definitely seems very anti-Semitic what the leftists are doing with their sort of strong stance against Israel. Okay. I think people who have more of a moderate stance, like Ethan Klein, as much as he annoys me overall, especially with him throwing Jordan Peterson under the bus and a whole bunch of other things, the more moderate position there makes you seem. But there's some leftists who are probably being exaggerated in the media because, as you said, the media has its narrative that it goes along with. And I need to check into how reliable ground news is. I've been seeing a lot of people promote it. I like the idea of having a place you can go to see people's biases. Hell, there's even a book which is a sci-fi book where the journalist tends to sort of, on their journalist license, they put their biases. It seems really transparency. I'll always advocate for transparency. Okay. I can understand some arguments for why some things need to be kept secret until it's revealed, like video game consoles. You don't want to reveal too soon. But a lot of the time, a lot of the sort of things we don't know almost breeds people creating conspiracy theories like that. Would you agree with that?
Well,
I mean,
I'm
it
all for
almost feels like
transparency
victim
in
blaming.
most. Yeah, I'm all for transparency in pretty much almost everything. To the extent that you can, there's like some reasonable carve outs you can have. So people obviously desire privacy to an extent in their personal lives.
Yes.
Yeah, but like obviously I don't support journalists having to get like a card. I think journalism is an action that people can perform. Like to some extent, you could argue that we're doing an active journalism right now during this stream.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I try to be honest. Sometimes I take things, I make some jokes. That might be, yeah, phrasing. Okay. There's, I had a whole fucking panel on good faith criticism and shit like that. It's really hard to balance entertainment with actually being honest sometimes. So there are ways to sort of rectify that. I think stating your bias and being honest with your bias is a good way to do it. Same with transparency. Let the public know everything you can within reason for your own safety in reality. So conspiracy theories, which might not be a conspiracy theory in this case, just AndyPants sort of, I haven't seen him make any really factually backed sort of claims about Ackman, Skill Up, and other people he talked about in that one video. But let's move on from there because debate is the thing.
But you're a huge fan of Starfield, aren't you?
At one point, I was a big fan of Starfield, and I have and I'm glad you brought that up because I actually get in fights with my own audience sometimes because sometimes there's aspects of Starfield that I will justify. And I was a big fan of Starfield at one point. And over time, as I've played the game more, I've played it more and I've realized that, so if you're talking about my pro Starfield Xbox video that I made at one point.
Oh, I'm talking about that and the hundreds of community posts sucking it off. You want to talk about corporate chilling, man? Go down to Andy's Xbox channel and look at all the undeleted community posts he has sucking off Starfield.
Dude,
go check.
No, absolutely.
If you want to talk, you want to accuse me of being a corporate chill, bro, we can play that game.
I just like the game. I like the game. I wasn't paid off. I wasn't paid off by Activision the way you are.
They pay you.
I actually like this. I was unsure of this. I do like where the Ackman's going. I think it's a little bit bad faithy. I think the Ackman was harder on. It is an interesting approach. What do you think about this particular line, or don't care?
I think the current discussion is basically a waste of time. But I understand.
Do you have a timestamp you want to jump to? Okay.
No. I feel like the current discussion with them two right now where they're like, oh no, you're the shill, no, you're the shill. I think that's not really super productive. I understand what he's trying to do here, and but the thing is, like, they're video games. They're all consumer products essentially. At the end of the day, they can be beautiful works of art too. That's not mutually exclusive. But yeah, like if you're a fan of something, you're going to talk about that, write about that, and probably praise it too. Like if you genuinely enjoy the game, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, if somebody is getting paid, obviously they should disclose that. But if there's genuine fans, like who cares? Like how can you distinguish those just by looking? Unless there's like very specific key things. Like if they're like talking about how, oh boy, I can't wait for the new DLC that comes out on December 13th, and they bring that up like 15 times. It's like, that's a little bit weird, right? But that's legally supposed to be disclosed anyway if they're doing that. So
Yeah. There's legal arguments and ethical arguments. And I find Starfield an interesting case study for myself because they just switched to being exclusive for Xbox. And
did
sort
they?
of at the time of release, yeah, it was going to be, I think it was the flagship game to do the Xbox Game Pass. We got an exclusive. We got Sony. We bought Bethesda, and we got the exclusive on Game Pass. Okay, a selling point. So Sony people considered Sony ponies, sort of going after it was an interesting angle. You're going to have that fandom who are blindly devoted to PlayStation and try to find ways, which the console wars. You have the anti-Bethesda people who I've covered. I continuously cover them because I find them interesting. The interplay versus Bethesda people that I don't want to go into details. And of course, you have the sort of anti-woke versus the woke people. I consider it a trifecta, and I found it to be an interesting case study. It's not a great game, but I think it was too harshly criticized for certain things, which they deserve to. I agree they deserve to be criticized for those particular lacks, but people want to make things out to be almost irredeemable when I'm like, there were still plenty of things I liked about the game. Yeah, had a lot of flaws. And yeah, I went off on one of my random tangents and lost
hey, it's
everyone.
your
even
stream,
you.
man. Hey, I
Use 5
Yeah.
bucks for each
Black
of those
Ops 6.
community posts, bro.
No, go for it. Everybody can go look at it. Go
Look,
look at it right now.
you're faking this confidence, and I've seen through it.
Yeah, this is just a bluster game, taking shots at each other. You're the shill. No, you're the shill. Tactically, I understand. Both of them have good. Hell, the Ackman, I think, has a better case in here. But I know more about that, so I won't try to get you with it.
Do you think that was strange at all that it had 3 black females in it and 1 white man? Or are you just going to ignore like?
Okay,
something?
all right. Yeah, this is the Concord discussion. Okay, so when I heard this, I got 2 thoughts. They're 2 completely separate tracks, basically. One of which is, if you are going to go the checkbox route with diversity, or if you like think that that's a really important thing to have, then I think that having diversity for like white male characters is fine too. I think that's good. It should be if you are going to go that route with the game. But I also don't think that developers really should go that route. I think that they should design the characters based around like the narrative, and design just go with their artistic vision for what it happens to be. And like if like you happen to have a game that doesn't have any white male characters in it, like I don't think that's like the end of the world, including like Concord in this particular case here. But also if you watch the trailer, my uncle actually had this thought. He told me, we were talking about the game, the trailer for Concord. The guy, the green alien is like kind of coded as like a white character, how they talk and stuff.
You think so? Interesting. The whole
That's what he
coding
thought. That's what
argument.
he thought. Yeah, that was coded as like a white male. But also I don't.
What is your? I don't want to get into details, but what do you think your uncle's biased is? Moderate, left, right?
Like anti-Trump conservative, I guess, or like libertarian, more libertarian, really.
Okay, but it would figure he would have that take. Okay, because as I said, knowing the bias of a particular person is always helpful, I think, in understanding both their strengths and weaknesses and where their perspective is coming from. It's more for if you are trying to call someone disingenuous. Like, do you know this guy? Do you know what preferences they have, how they're speaking? Okay, because the sort of creator to audience sort of pipeline. Because I'll admit my faults. I'm a little bit ADHD, a little bit ranty, mad off the cuff, sort of content that probably isn't that appealing to people, but I want to create content like this for people who are interested in the sort of more spastic, ranty, sort of off the cuff ADHD content. It's not very popular, but that's the route I'm choosing to go down. But I don't care about getting too successful on YouTube. What's your particular strategy for as a content creator to try to get people into your content?
I don't know,
content-
man. Right now,
Okay,
I'm just trying to get through
that's
this book project. Well, actually, that is, I guess, the strategy, right? I'm going to finish this and make clips from that. I need to do more streams, but I've been so busy lately with the Kickstarter, all the behind the scenes stuff with that. Also, getting the cover ready for the book. There's a whole thing that happened today or yesterday where I realized that if I use the traditional 6x9 format, then the book's going to be over 800 pages long, the first volume alone. And so I switched to a larger format, most likely. So it's like nonstop stuff. So I don't really have like a growth
and
plan
talking
right
about
now.
that sort of stuff will bore most audiences.
Almost
There
certainly.
probably is an
Almost certainly.
audience, but I can understand you focus in on this one task, and
Yeah.
maybe if you want to continue streaming, you'll sort of pick your lane and what sort of
Well,
content
and
you'll
like
figure
one of
out
those,
what you're.
I'm thinking
Go
about
on.
doing a third book already too, which is going to be like possibly about the Ukraine war and interviewing people. Oh, that's just one idea I have.
Okay.
To cover,
Yeah.
but that would be like way smaller in scope. I'm not doing fucking 70 interviews again.
Okay. Yeah. Don't get into that
Well,
YouTuber burnout. Take a little break. Okay. Come back to it fresh and try to build yourself up. That would be my suggestion. I don't follow my own advice because I like flexibility. Okay. Some people are min maxers who go for the high sub count. I use D&D terms, and some people want to be murder hobos. I'm not that level. Okay, I'm more than just a random wacky guy in your D&D campaign. But yeah, the sort of audience, sort of what you're trying to project to your audience, what you want from your audience, what the audience wants from content creators is important to consider if you want to make this into a career. And the Act Man definitely has made this into a career. And he flipped out when he got demonetized because he made some edgy jokes on X YouTube. AndyPants, he switched from being pretty much sucking off Xbox. At least this is how it's portrayed by the Act Man, and a lot of people. That could be incorrect. Seems correct from this. And I think that's all I have to say on that. You have any more about the Concord, or you were wanting to wait until they get into it a little bit more before going into details?
we can wait. I really just. What do you think of that? What do you think of the idea that there's not a white male character in Concord?
Oh, there is. And a lot of people who covered this, there's at least one white male character, maybe two, and he sort of covered it up with his graphics. So a lot of people saw that as dishonest. And I can't argue against that, okay? You're saying literally there's no white male characters, but your little graphic on your video for people who aren't going to play the game are just going to believe that to be true. And if someone's like, no, there's like one or two, they'll be like, is that enough? That's sort of like moving the goalpost. Okay.
Oh wait,
That's
Tio,
the
yeah,
point.
there is. So he was wrong about that.
Yeah, it makes him come off as dishonest and just trying to fuck with it. And if he gets, I don't know if the Act Man really nails him down on this, but I'm pretty sure he'll be like, well, one white male, two white males, what does that matter? Everyone else is everything else. I hate that sort of logic. Like, yeah, just be honest. There's one white male or two white males. I forget. One I think is questionably white or maybe feminine. Yeah, I'm getting distracted.
Yeah, someone in my
Obvious
chat
stuff.
too
This
says.
is the hard hitting stuff.
Oh, someone in my chat says it's more having 3 black women was odd. I don't think that's odd. Make the characters you think look cool. Make the character designs that you think are gonna be awesome. And if you do value diversity, they do have a white male character too. So I think it's all fine.
As I said, I watched a video, I think yesterday, Concord, Death of the Game, and he went into this whole thing. Be like, these characters, he went over it like, yeah, there's not much story to this, so not much context for these characters. And these characters, he had this whole sort of scene where he's like, character design, you should be able to tell their personality just from their outline. No color, just a shadow. He's like comparing the characters from Overwatch and comparing the characters from freaking Concord. And I'm like, yeah, I can see what you're saying with this. This makes a lot of sense. You're visually presenting it, a very solid, consistent argument. And it wasn't even going off on the fact that there's 3 black women. It's just saying these people are fucking stupid in their design aspect in so many different ways. Just lumping it up to being a woke problem is sort of missing the greater point of people who are serious about game design, game development, and how games should be made, at least in YouTube and Xpeer. Sort of. And off on another tangent.
Bro.
Off to see the random
No, it's
tangent.
just a question. Can you
I'm
answer a
just
question?
asking questions. No, I was more distracted by how unappealing all of the character designs were. Imagine, see, the thing about you, Andy, is that I've seen older videos of you.
Yeah.
I've seen things, and you are capable of having good, nuanced, well thought out takes.
Ooh,
What
thanks so much
you're
for that.
hard, but what you're hard pivoting to right now is built on a foundation of lies and hatred. Okay, and you're
Hatred-
pivoting to this.
See, I don't like this, but it's a personal preference, a tactical preference. Calling it hatred, maybe it's correct. Anti-fans, okay. I agree. The certain points come across as lies, and optically, tactically, fucking mind-bogglingly stupid to me. Telling your own audience lies just because they want to hear someone rip into something. People justify, it's not technically a lie. Yeah, you just don't want to give your opposition, which in this case would be someone like the Ackman or leftists, that ammo. Yeah, they literally lied here. Would that be more of a legal or sort of a... Because I've heard it's in the spirit. It's correct in spirit. It's technically incorrect and technically a lie. But, artistic licensing, why not give the other side the artistic licensing sort of thing? Because they're the big corporate overlords. And again, Ranty, I'll give you a chance if you want to say anything about that.
I got nothing right now.
Sorry.
We could do 1.5 speed.
Yeah. Sorry.
I just have to go to bed. I have to work.
I
tomorrow
know.
morning,
I always go off on these weird tangents. I know it's a problem. Okay. I hope someone enjoys it.
Skewed towards what?
Towards anyone that's gay, all the LGBTQ community.
Did you say that you're a Christian earlier?
I would not say I am a Christian. I'm not like a practicing Christian, but I do at times talk to friends, and what would it be like? Not necessarily practicing Christianity, but you talk to your friends and you
Integrity.
understand.
Man, this is what people say online. You have no integrity. This is what we're talking about.
What?
You have
That
zero
I'm not
integrity.
a Christian? Because
You're
I'm
trying to play both sides to make money on your YouTube channel. You have
wait,
zero
hold up.
integrity.
You just asked me if I was a Christian. Where were you going with that?
I did.
What does that?
Yeah, what people online say, I really hate that fucking logic, getting behind the bandwagon approach. What's true, I think, is important to point out, okay? Just because people say something doesn't make it true, okay? It's like that meme. What opinion would you have against this whole fucking crowd? If it was a fucking lie that the whole fucking crowd was sort of chanting, I would be like, yeah, that's bullshit. That's me, though. No
Well,
thoughts,
there's
no-
gonna be. It's gonna be interesting when Ackman brings up Andy's.
It has to
past
do with my
comments.
integrity. Only people.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, but
Do you stand on are you a Christian or not? And do you stand on those values?
no, I'm not a practicing Christian.
Okay.
No, I
All
don't
right.
go to church.
Okay. All right.
Why do you ask? What's the purpose of that?
Well, no, you just started. It's.
Do you think I'm like, I'm a big fan of the 9th commandment. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
What is that? Coveting?
No. It's funny. My other buddy said it. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I'm a big fan of that one.
Okay. Did I lie somewhere?
Where you've done a lot of lying, buddy.
Okay. Where did I lie? This should be good.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a funny quote from you. Let's see if I can. I found your old video on political bias and game journalism. And again, it's like, this is a good take. But see, like the audience you've cultivated is not going to like something that you say here.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Yeah, these are your words. The more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. This isn't really lining up with the direction your channel is going in, does it?
Yeah. What I will say is that about a year ago, I was backing Xbox, and I think it's pretty commonly known that I used to have an Xbox channel. And then I think in those moments of me backing Xbox, I would say stupid stuff at some points. And if anybody wants to find that or Google that or whatever, I don't know.
Oh, is that one of those stupid things?
Okay. I know you want to get to a certain point. Should we jump
to this
ahead?
point here? Actually, this is
okay.
this
This
is
point
stuff.
also, I'm like,
Yeah.
You're just saying it's a stupid point. What he should do in this instant is go through his logic in that moment. The Act-Man gave him a display. He admits to certain problems. He doesn't just be like, yeah, they fooled me, blah, blah, blah. He's like going into the details, making it sound really realistic. Just hand waving it away. It was just stupid. Why were you stupid back then?
Well, and it's obviously, I think it's kind of it's a funny thing to like change your mind on. Like if he wants to, he could just be like, hey, look, I used to hold this view. Here's why I changed my mind on it. But I guess he's like going that I was shilling for Xbox instead route, which is a little bit odd, but okay.
That's just career suicide. Go on.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like his original take, I don't like have an issue with, like except for it's always good. He said to have like this extra diversity of the characters. I don't know. If
Remember,
it's
there's only
always
two
good,
sexes.
but-
Okay, binary, male or female.
Well,
Well,
he also talked about like gay characters and stuff too, but and trans he said too. But I'm totally I'm all for greater diversity in games. That's totally fine. I don't have an issue with that at all.
Having story, I think it works a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's context dependent. Okay, I mean, you throw a gay person in the middle of something that's very masculine and very not friendly to gay people, it might come off weird. But if you do the world building, you do put the proper work in, you can get a lot of ideas across. If you have the framework for it. I think in our alien discussion, I was talking about lampshade, and even towards the end of that movie, they lampshade some of the problems that make them less. It feels more natural. Some of the sort of stupid stuff, you would be like, why is he doing something stupid? They sort of lampshade why this guy would have such a hatred for synthetic or artificial beings in that movie.
Right. It makes sense for the character to make the bad decision, basically.
Yes. It takes work and takes talent, actually, to sort of get those characters off. There's nothing wrong with simple stories. Like, there's a lot of great simple stories out there. But if you want to do a more complex story, you got to put in more work to get it to work. It's risk versus reward. You want to tell a new story, you got to find a way to get it to be accepted within your target audience. Yeah, you don't put in that work and you get disappointed by it. Don't use the excuse that they're just bigots. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my thoughts on that.
Well, and also that pisses people off.
Yeah,
it's tough. The people are your customers, right? That's like the worst. That's a really bad strategy.
Yeah, I mean, for certain things, I can understand the arguments, the sort of harping on. I went over it earlier about attack in the face when I'm like, doesn't make sense. They want you to attack this person, okay? They're putting out this person so they can deflect, okay? who made the decisions in the background to hire this person.
Well, do you think that's what it is? Because I thought that too. Like, I wonder how many of these games they kind of put a woke element in there so that they could blame that in case it fails. I wonder if that's true.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's really just a lazy. I think it's a laziness. Okay, I see a lot of evidence. It's just sort of a shield. Okay, for laziness, incompetence, and just why don't like the strike? Okay, the writer's strike and the sort of terrible conditions the VXF department had to suffer, which probably not that She-Hulk was good, but it was criticized for a lot of the visual aspects. And you find out if you look into it that Disney just leaned way too hard on their VX department and they couldn't keep it up. So they kept on outsourcing, and that declined the sort of quality of their product. And just to say you just hate this because it's you're racist or sexist or blah blah blah. Yeah, there might be some people out there like that, but you shouldn't lump everyone together like that. Okay, there will be some people like that. Distinguish those from people with more legitimate criticism who might bring this stuff up but doesn't focus on it. That's my thought process behind that.
Yeah, and yeah, there are people out there who are racist. I mean, like, I guess like the people at Disney who who shrunk Finn on the posters. So that was probably less racism and more they wanted to make money in China.
Exactly. A lot of this stuff just seems like a ploy. But as I said, I sort of follow the Mr. Medicare mindset, the sort of Occupy Wall Street. Oh, it worked to sort of break up this protest? No, I could be incorrect, okay? And I'm sure it's way more complex than that, but I think that was the initial point. Like, look, this sort of broke up the people against Wall Street. Let's try to amplify these feminists and these other activists within this to sort of deflect from other unethical practices. Give them a red herring to go after. We don't care about this. We're going to throw them away at any moment, but we're going to use these people as a distraction until we can't anymore. Then we'll pivot. They can just pivot back to the right, more conservative thing. If that's what makes them money, that's what they will do. Just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, let the market decide what's successful and not, and then we'll see what plays out.
Yeah.
I think there is a market for...
You don't think...
I think there's a market for a wide variety of games. I think there's even a market for more conservative coded games, I guess you could say, and more progressive coded games. Though they haven't been doing so well lately, have they?
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 actually was...
Oh, yeah. I have not played Baldur's Gate 3 yet. I need to. I want to. I hear it's
good. My backlog is so huge. I will get to it. I'm sure it'll be good. But they put the work in, okay? I just think a lot of people... There's a lot of problems in the gaming. The sort of a woke mind virus is just a small fraction that I think is overblown by certain people who sometimes they'll be convinced by other people that this is the real problem because it's a simple solution, okay? Real problems tend to be very complex and multifaceted. Yes, the sort of a progressive element, the activists within the industry, yes, a problem. Is it the majority of the problem? In my opinion, no. Okay, they're a small problem that get used to sort of run cover for the other unethical problems.
Yeah, well,
I
so
think
you
it's
completely 180 that.
It's I think an overblown issue. But I do think that there are legitimate questions, especially with some of the censorship stuff with localization. Especially we saw that more, I think, in the past. I'm not sure how common that is now in the year 2024, but there definitely is, I think, a mindset among some of these localizers that they need to change quote unquote like offensive elements out of Japanese games when they bring them over to the West. And like you saw, like there was a backlash against Stellar Blade, for instance. Like I think some of the stuff is not good for the industry to have. I think it does.
Yeah, with that
like
whole
a bit of a chilling
censorship
effect.
angle, yeah, they try to keep it censor free. Okay, Dev actually has an interesting theory that is plausible. It's a plausible theory.
Oh
For
yes,
censorship thing.
yes, not Stellar Blade censorship specifically, because I think the Dev's theory is plausible on that. Yeah, but like
In that
censorship, like
particular case.
Fire Emblem, for instance, Fire Emblem Fates, for instance, was widely censored, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and there were some other games as well. I think Valkyrie Drive Bakuni, I think, was as well.
Yeah, it's just about playing it. I think it's just about playing it safe, like the A type, B type body. Okay, that just is from soft or people who do that, just trying to play it safe. Okay, that's what most companies will do, and I can understand the mindset of harping on these companies to do it, but it sort of degrades it when you can just replace the A and B type body with male and female, and they match up perfectly. It's just a different name. Okay, I understand the concern with it, but I think it's overblown again.
So yes, it was stupid. And so what I think you need to understand is that I formerly had an Xbox channel, and when you're going down that logic of like, oh, I have to support everything Xbox does, you start to say stupid stuff, and you grow and you become a better person, and you move on from that. And so,
are you becoming a better person though?
I am.
You think so?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I should pay more attention to chat. Another example: One Piece World Seeker. You can play on PC or live in the US. There's an island you can't land on. That's weird. I would like to know the context for it. So send that to me or chat it, man. That is an interesting case.
Yeah.
Sorry for
do you want to go ahead and call me homophobic now or later?
You said that twice. Like, is that your?
No, go ahead. Well, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Is this your fetish? Are you into that? You into that humiliation?
Yeah, he's going after you for being a shill, a grifter, just someone who's just going along with the trend. He saw your previous content. He saw you flop. And you just going after him this way with a sort of a joke. It's rather lame. It's a really lame comeback. I'm sure you don't disagree.
Well, yeah, and I feel like a lot of this conversation, especially the start. I think later it gets better, but they're just really hostile to each other for basically no reason.
Oh, I understand the reason. This is just a fucking cat's paws. Okay. You saw the debate, the trap I walked into with that was supposed to be a debate with ethics versus efficiency. I knew it was a trap. I knew it wasn't going to be what it seems, but I wanted to know how it'd go. And that was an interesting experience. That was worth doing at least once, probably more than once. See how much I can improve going into another trap.
It's always good jumping.
You like that?
It's always good jumping into these traps and having fun with it. I think. If you're a
Yeah,
streamer,
shit.
Just have fun.
People take their credibility too seriously. Oh, they own you. So what? Okay. I got a lot of interesting information out of that. Okay. Sometimes you can learn more. My personal belief, sometimes you can learn more about someone if you just let them do what naturally comes to them and even enable them, okay, to do some certain things. But that's my thoughts on that. On an island you can see and crash into, but the PC and US players can't land on it. Okay. Characters had swimsuits and a mission involved in the land. Okay. It's the beach episode of an anime, hot babes in bikinis.
They stole that from us. How could they?
I know. Glad I'm not a gooner. I definitely... I'm glad that's not a focus. I understand some people really want to... You can't play a game if it's not attractive characters. And some people can't have a tough time playing games that are capped at 30 frames per second. And I'm just not that discriminating. I can understand people being mad about that and not be able to play it from their personal perspective. But as someone who those things don't bother me too much, you know what I mean? It's like petty concerns that I want to take. I want to try to take seriously, but it's just hard from my particular perspective to do it. I'm trying. Okay. And isn't that the best we can do in life?
You fucking homophobe.
All right. Well, just know whenever you want to be like, oh, you're homophobic. I've got a response ready for you. So whenever you want to do that. So here's my next question.
You think so
Given
little
that-
of
Oh God, that is such a bad thing. You had that. You want him to call you a homophobe. You're trying to. He's trying to bait him into that. Is he trying to? I don't understand the logic of that line. You're probably just.
I think I do.
On that.
No, I think
You do.
I think basically Andy is probably, again, I'm mind reading here. But he probably
you're
is of the view.
theorizing. Okay. It's
Yeah, I'm
fine to
theorizing.
Theorize.
I'm theorizing that Andy thinks that
Mm.
if he gets called a bigot, it's going to make him look good because he's like, oh well, look, you intolerant left winger, you run around throwing these insults, racist, sexist, homophobe, transphobe. Gosh, you're just trying to label me as a moral monster. And sometimes people do that unjustly, especially it does happen. But at the same time too, like if you actually are those things, like whatever, if the shoe fits, right?
Yeah.
I don't think owning
was
it's like a
actually-
good thing. But again, I don't know if he actually is or not. I don't know if he's just trying to bait him into the response because he thinks it'll look good.
Yeah, I've noticed something recently. Someone tried to leak me evidence of like screenshots of some malpractice. I looked at it. I couldn't run with it, but they said something that he worked for Mark Kern, and he told me that Mark Kern suggested that he read Rules for Radicals to me. Okay, I didn't think about it for a while. I came back to it after the debate. And I looked up, I looked up both an article and a YouTube video. Guess who had a analysis of Rules for Radicals? Well, let me not play it. Sargon. That was the top search. I'm like, interesting. And that's that sort of thing. Sort of a lot of these things, like the sort of baiting, the sort of tactic of, yeah, call me a homophobe, okay? That seems to be in line with the Rules for Radicals playbook. I've been playing a game with that. It's just something I think anyone who's critical against either so-called woke people or anti-woke people should read and try to see if the particular person, either on the woke side or the anti-woke side, is sort of following some sort of rule set from that book. Just something I thought was worth might be more useful for me because I'm a bit of a nerd, but let's get back into it.
Given that LGBT are a tiny 3% of the population, is it strange at all to you that their depravity is being pushed in 100% of games now?
So let's.
Oh God, depravity! I would be like, dude, what are you talking about depravity? I would like some examples. There are examples, okay, but I would like to hear them from him. That's what I would do. Just interjecting to say that.
Go back because this is a pretty radical thing you've said. The more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. I want to focus on this because
Can you answer the question? Not something that
what question? There's 3% LGBTQ plus. Why is there more representation in games?
They're 3% of the population. Do you find it strange at all that they're being pushed in 100% of the games now?
100% of the games. All of them.
Yeah.
Everything's woke now,
dude. It's
everything.
Homo flags are in everything. Yes, homo flags are in everything.
Being pushed in every single game. Obviously, like you're like 100% of the games. Like you're no. Come on, let's be real. Do I think it's strange?
I get it.
I don't necessarily.
I don't necessarily play both sides. You have to play both sides so that you can keep making money off both audiences. God. I just want the right leaning.
And the fact he just keeps going back to that as his go-to counter, I find this pathetic.
I'm wondering what he's about to say next. Is he about to say, "I just want the right-leaning people"? Because like if he does, I guess that's like quote unquote like fine. But if he does end up actually finishing that sentence and saying that, then like that might like indicate too like what kind of content that you're trying to create.
Very good thing to point out. If he is going to say that, I don't think he does.
Audience to know that you have zero integrity and you're full of shit. That's all I want them to know.
Boy, you don't know what you're doing, man.
Yes. Okay.
You're too
moving
you're too
on.
pure for this, man.
So moving on. Why do you?
Whoa, I didn't answer the question.
Okay.
Do I think it's strange? You want a real answer? No, I don't think it's strange. I think corporations do what thinks will make them money. And as you see with Concord, clearly didn't work out. Didn't work out. They didn't make money off of that. Do I think it's strange? No, it's a noticeable pattern you could trace at least. Well, not just back to 2020, but after the BLM protests, riots, after all of that, that's when a hard push began where corporations started being like, wow, there's a lot of popularity behind this movement. Let's capitalize on that. Let's, like that famous fucking, what was it?
Yeah, I agree with this take also. They're going in the society they think. And also the problem with a lot of this media, I find, it's a lot of things go into work, into development. And hell, even some stuff that's been in development's just been canned. Okay. It's happened in Hollywood even. Okay. There's the squeaky wheels inefficiency of Hollywood. I definitely criticize them for trying to fix this stuff in post all the time. I definitely find it a waste of money. Like, why don't you just plan it out properly instead of fucking go all willy-nilly and have to spend even more money to fix it later on? I mean, there's some cases, like Sonic is a good example of where they put out the trailer and everyone hated the design. Okay. So they went back and fixed it. And that actually worked out well in PR for them, I think. Any thoughts on this particular line?
I just don't know enough about like Hollywood for
Okay,
to say.
fair enough.
So.
I'm trying to make a related parallel with that.
Well, the Sonic one's a
the
good
Pepsi
example
ad?
that
So no,
changing it was good. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I think the Sonic movie was very well received by the public, and I think presumably by the Sonic fans too. And I think that them changing the design was actually like a good way to basically regain the trust of the community.
Yeah, this is why I'm curious about Silent Hill 2 remake. Okay. They had a bad trailer. I agree. It looks horrible. People over exaggerated some details. I'm wondering when the game comes out, how that's going to turn. Will it be successful? Will it even be a good game? I'm definitely going to need to play that game. There's some things that I want to play, but I'm so far behind, it doesn't seem worth it. Silent Hill 2 remake definitely seems like a must play just to do a critique of it on my own, just sort of like, how well did they do it? It will be from my own bias, which tends to be overly critical, as you found, as both you and it was AirDoc and Wick found out in our little discussion about Aliens Romulus. I tend to be very nitpicky at some places, but I gave the movie good praise before a certain point.
Yeah, the Andy falling down thing, I think, was like, that is something that's worth criticizing the film over for sure. I had the same sort of critique of that too. So
yeah, I believe in trying to get fair criticism. Sometimes I'll make jokes that make it seem unfair. The whole balance between entertainment and sincerity is definitely a question in content creation, which is interesting to discuss. Most people aren't interested in, so let's not get into it here.
No, I don't think it's strange that they're pushing it. I think it's strange that they push it as hard as they might have done in Concord. But that game failed for a variety of other reasons, not just because it had gay people in it. And it's like, I mean, you're using all the right dog whistles to get the certain audience and crowd that you want. And it's like, and sorry.
I have to criticize him for using. I'm very particular with language. I avoid certain language in the dog whistle.
Well, I think I understand that these things happen sometimes, but I think you should probably try to mute yourself when you can.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but whatever. That's not a big deal. I don't really care. It's not a major criticism. I wouldn't stop watching a creator because of that.
I think he does do a good job of just like joking a bit, but then he's like, okay, do you want to actually be real? Because he's treating a lot of this as a joke, but then he pulls it back, be like, okay, you're memeing. I get it. I do the same a lot, but you want to have a real discussion. I think optically, this is besides some of the sort of parts that were like, what the fuck are they doing here? Live time, maybe maybe their tactics to sort of think, I think that's a legitimate tactic to joke a little bit, try to collect your thoughts and think of where you want to go next. but that's more debate tactics.
You know, I can respect the grift to a certain extent, but you have absolutely no grounds to question my integrity when you have none.
Dude, you play. I mean, I get why you play both sides, because you can grow a bigger audience.
You keep
by
saying
not
that. I
pissing
don't
off
play
the
both
gays.
sides.
You can
I make
grow an
fun of
audience
both
by not
sides.
pissing off the gays.
Yes,
Dude,
yes,
you're
that's
fine.
how I grew my channel. But
You
it's
did,
obviously
right, I get it.
my
You have zero integrity and you play both sides. I get it. That's
Yep.
classic.
That's what I do, buddy. I mean, I play both sides. That's why both sides hate me at times, because I make fun of both of them, because I don't restrict myself to 50% of the material.
True. It's better to just stick to one fucking side. Okay, that's always the case. Always. The
Honestly,
case.
from a
Simple narrative.
viewership standpoint, it does seem like people who take sides tend to do better, at least in the short term. But yeah, why would you restrict yourself to half the content? 'Cause there's a lot of stupid shit out there that people do all across the video game political spectrum and political spectrum in general. So if that's your
just
thing,
telling-
have at it.
And just telling bold-faced things that can easily be proven to be incorrect is just going to kill you in the long run. Maybe you can get away with it for a while, maybe even for a long time. Okay. Many people who've been exposed after years of being respected. Okay.
Well, Mr. Beast
because-
recently, right, has got some controversies.
Exactly. Okay. What sort of took him out? Fucking going after the trans person, because this is at least the theory.
Well, he had a lot of stuff too. He allegedly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
That
allegedly.
doesn't
Well,
work-
you don't have to get into if you want to.
That
I don't know
doesn't
all the
work
details.
as well
but-
without the actual meme of the GameStop thing. Go on, sorry.
I don't. I've seen some videos about this. You know, probably the ones that everyone else is seeing. Shit. But you know, I don't. I'm like independently verified every single claim that's been made. But like, yeah, he allegedly like staged some of the videos. He treated one of the employees quite harshly. Not employees, but the guy he had basically in the isolation chamber or whatever for weeks without it. You know, to his detriment of his mental health and to his physical health, like actually with keeping the lights on 24/7, like things that'll actually possibly kill a human being. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that, obviously. And then hiring a sexual predator, that doesn't seem like really good.
Yeah. And the sort of sticky trail to that came from a weird place. It was the whole Shadman thing that got into that. And that sort of put the crack in the Mr. Beast overly positive content, okay? And not the ethics just, and he's just going to probably power through this, okay? And people will forget it. And I think that's sort of disappointing, because there's a lot of things to criticize him for. And he's probably going to dodge it because he can. We'll see how that turns out.
Well, we'll see how it turns out. But he's reached a certain point, I think, where he's like basically a billionaire. I assume he's a billionaire. I mean, he's the largest YouTuber on the platform.
So you're saying he has fuck you money? Okay.
Probably has fuck you money, I assume.
Okay. Yeah. There's a certain point where you have fuck you money. Okay. And you can take a lot of hits. Okay. And it might drain away at you. You might not be able to take it. But most people just power through it. Logan Paul is another. Is it Logan Paul or Jake Paul? I get the two Paul brothers with the whole CoffeeZilla exposing his sort of a weird scam. But he's still trucking along.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. It does seem like, yeah, once you reach a certain point as a creator, also too, it seems like controversies, even if they're like legitimately bad things, it don't seem to affect creators that much. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because, you know, people on YouTube, for instance, this platform, you can't see everything. So you can't see, there's going to be a lot of people who don't even know about the Mr. Beast scandal, right? Or the Logan Paul scandal or anything like that. There's just be a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah. And they won't care. Okay. They'll be like,
or
I don't care about
parasocial relationship, right?
Parasocial relationship is becoming bigoted. This is why I have ethical issues with placating the audience so much, probably to my own detriment. The sort of audience capture, the sort of feedback cycle. When you study the sort of social media mechanic, I'm not going to go too much into it. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the psychological aspects of that. But Continue.
Look, why would I do that?
When have you ever hated on the LGBT community in any
One
of
of my
videos?
most popular videos is feminism and SJWs versus video. What are
Dude,
you
it's like
talking about?
It's like a 10-year-old video.
It has 5.4 million views, bro. What are you?
Dude, people
Go
are
ahead,
like, what
pause.
You
happened
keep
to
moving the goalposts on everything. It's like, when have you ever?
Did I
Why
hear a pause?
should he? Yeah, why should he make a video attacking the LGBT
Yeah.
community? Like, what? Like, if his values aren't that, like, why would he do that?
Yeah, they're trying. This feels like a coordinated campaign to get rid of centrist. Okay, anyone a moderate position. I don't like it when left people try to force the more moderates and centrist people out there to choose a side. You're either with us or against us, and this seems like a sort of tactic I'm seeing. You know, you're not with us, you're against us, and maybe he's correct in this case. Maybe AndyPants and the anti-woke, maybe Ackman secretly is a not Bethesda, sorry. The corporate shill or something. I just don't see any actual evidence. You can't just go with what people say. People can say whatever they want. They can spread whatever message what they want. What are the facts to really back it up, the claim, okay? How true, how much does it sort of correlate with reality? That's how I judge these sort of cases. It's not a black and white issue. It's like, yeah, I can see his AndyPants and any anti-woke people going after the Ackman a little bit, but they make incredible claims, require incredible evidence. I think that sums up my thoughts on that. I really need to nutshell more things.
Made fun. The Hogwarts Legacy shit was last year. You don't know anything about my channel, bro.
People are like, what happened to that act man? That's honestly what people are saying now. What happened to that act man? Because he went away. He disappeared.
No, he didn't. I made the Hogwarts Legacy video last year. What are you talking about?
Questionable.
What questionable? What do you mean? That video's still on my channel. You can check it out right now.
What the audience is saying about you. They're saying
yeah. So you're just regurgitating what your audience is saying. I don't care what your audience thinks. I care about what you think. I want to hear your
bingo. Okay. What does someone also the lack of responsibility? I'm just doing what my audience tells me, what they tell me. It's the same thing that brought upon someone like Hassan, or a lot of people really use their audience as sort of, in my opinion, to sort of shield themselves from criticism. I'm just doing what the audience is telling me to do.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess it's just the pressures of being a creator, and at some point you just say, some people say, obviously it's not the right path to take. I don't think everybody does this, but just say, fuck it. If I want the views, I'm just gonna ride the dragon. And
doesn't seem very manly to me.
I don't know. I guess it's not a traditionally masculine value.
See, I do have a problem. I think everyone has a problem sort of distinguishing hatred of a certain person and sort of their ideas. Okay. You can criticize someone's ideas. You can even hate someone's ideas and think they're fucking destructive, pragmatic, use whatever word you want. But in reality, it's more the ideas that I think should be attacked and not the person. As we were talking about, the sort of face argument, I don't understand why they go for these people who are hired. That you hire someone who's an activist, of course, they're going to act like an activist. Like with the certain actors, okay? They're more of an activist. Okay, yeah, there's some criticism for the cringy, crappy stuff, those sort of activists who got hired for the roles. But why not fucking find out who decides to hire that person? And because find out who's been hiring these people, who's been hiring these activists to fill these roles for people to feel attacked by on the other side. That would be the person I would go after, especially if you find out the same sort of person makes the decision for all these actresses who talk about activism. That just makes sense to me, logical sense. Go after the real source and not the face of the problem. Just, it's the same sort of idea behind that I reiterated from earlier.
Opinions, okay?
Well, dude, and I told you, I think it's incredibly strange to talk about Concord and not mention the clear woke slop. And You make fun of people who use the word woke, and you never use the word, even though it completely describes what's going on right now in gay games.
So the thing about the word woke is it harkens back to that old story we all read and were taught when we were growing up, the boy who cried wolf. These days, it's the boy who cried woke. There is so much disingenuous criticism using the word woke. The word is so liberally applied.
I've made this argument before. I even came up with a new word in midst the Starfield stuff, micro wokeism. That's what Heels versus Babyface. Micro wokeism. Any thoughts on this, or do you want to move along?
I mean, I think that there is very much a issue where people like to see wokeness everywhere. I think that, but it's not necessarily like unique to wokeness, though. I think that it's kind of a human phenomenon where, like, if you go looking for
you see
things, you're gonna see
patterns.
them everywhere.
Okay.
Well, and you can say that, like, the radical feminists, for instance, like that would say the same thing about patriarchy, right? Like, once you, Edith Sarkeesian did say that, right? That once you start to see things through the lens of systems of oppression, then everything looks like patriarchy. It was that paraphrasing what she said essentially, but
Yeah, I think she was misquoted with that. She was saying that was a bad thing, and people
well,
were
yeah,
like,
she's saying that
it's
that's
a
not her
good thing.
opinion anymore, but that's what she used to be like. She said, yeah.
But you have to believe she's being genuine, and a lot of people are like, there's a lot of things to make us think that she's just saying this. She's lying about it. I can understand that with her, but the same thing with Gamergate. If they would have focused just on the games industry and not get distracted by Anita or Brianna Wu, just stay focused on this thing here, I think Gamergate might have been better off. But how would you control that large of a movement? I think too much. I overthink. Sorry.
To everything, because there are so many online grifters who produce daily outrage content that are saying this thing is woke, you should be angry, you should be upset. Tune in tomorrow for episode 4169 on why Star Wars is woke now and why you should hate it and be mad and angry and upset. There's so much of that going on that the ending of the story of the boy who cried wolf is that at the end there was a wolf out there, but because there were so many false claims of there being a wolf, the people didn't help him. So that's
bingo. Okay, this is the main reason I think the woke criticism should be couched in a certain way and not just parroted it from that Park Place. God. Any thoughts, or move on?
Move on, please.
That's what's happened with the word woke. When I hear somebody, so
I know.
it's what happened to the words racist and sexist a few years ago. People were saying like air conditioning sexist and,
right,
all this stupid shit is racist and sexist. And it destroyed the meaning that those words are supposed to have. The boy who cried racist, the boy who cried sexist, the boy who cried woke. These are three books,
I like this in particular. He's tying it together with the same idea. And I do agree. All these things are just become watered down. And same thing with fascists. I think that's the term that got watered down. And when people call Trump fascist, they're like, yeah, you're just over exaggerating. And I think a lot of people get just dismiss it because people call it and everything sexist, racist, fascist. And now it's happening with the word woke.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
agree.
thought on the matter.
Oh, you overuse these terms. That's what happens. Though I don't know if you'd want to call like Trump fascist, but like he did engage in an insurrection against the United States of America and try to coup the government. So like I don't know. Like if you want to call that fascist, I think that's fine. If you want to say that no, it's not quite fascist, it's only authoritarian. Like okay, whatever. Like I still like it's.
Well, you
bad.
said you watched the sort of thing where Destiny took people over that. They brought up, I think, legitimate reasons why people are distrustful of the results of that sort of trial. Okay, there is arguments, maybe they're false. Okay, yes, by the evidence, if it was a fair trial,
we
blah,
can
blah.
jump into this if you want.
No, fucking hell. I don't know.
To...
You're gonna beat my ass on this because I stay away. I want to talk about fucking games. Okay.
Okay.
The only reason I
right.
learn about politics is because I see motherfuckers coming with their politics. We don't want it in. Okay, but then use it for fucking political. It just seems like. Okay, I agree. I don't want these policies being pushed in video games. I don't want all this stuff. I can see some reasonable things, like people were going against it was Witcher 3. What's the game studio? Fucking hell.
CD
Who did
Projekt Red?
Witcher 3, Cyberpunk? Yeah.
Yeah, CD Projekt.
Red. Okay, Project Red. Okay, they had a horrible launch that hurt them, and of course, they were talking about a sort of program for women who were pregnant. Okay, give them possible sick leave, and people were like, "Why are they doing that?" I'm like, "Motherfuckers, you're the ones talking about biological male and female. Females have this fucking trait." Okay, why are you going off that they want to give these women? But not all women are going to use it. Yeah, it's a choice to make their work more comfortable. You want you want your employees comfortable. You don't want crunch. Okay, I understand the need for crunch in the industry sometimes, but you know what? As a gamer who wants quality products and doesn't want slave labor, sweatshop quality crap that seems to be invested in the oversaturated market, yeah, I can understand helping out those particular women who have a biological disadvantage in the workplace because of periods and pregnancy. It just seems backwards to me sometimes. Reactionary stance that doesn't make sense logically.
In a volume, okay, that
Dude,
all have the same ending.
Dude, so it's I mean, you're a video game critic and you do video game analysis. So I find it shocking that you don't see the pattern in a game like Concord having 3 black females in it and not a single white man. As a very astute, very talented, very good at making videos, it's just wild to me that you don't. It's wild to me that you don't put together a couple, string together a couple of the dots, and even mention like, hey, I think there might be a pattern here in all these dog shit gay games that keep coming out.
A pattern. So you're equating black people in video games.
No. It's not about black people in video games. It's about constant, shoehorned, stupid diversity of everyone.
But you just talked about like there's 3 black people in this video game and no white guys. Excuse me. And that's the biggest reason you think why Concord failed.
No. I'm giving you a tiny example of a larger problem that everyone on the internet agrees is going on everywhere right now.
But the problem
to it, and you just seem to turn.
Yeah, these extremes I don't think helps them. Not everyone. Okay. Not great, but you gotta love the Ackman's power burps. That was like his second one. I think that's the Chad move.
Your head the other way, and I'm saying that's what's annoying your audience is that they're just like, Ackman just denies all this stuff because he wants to hang out with leftists. And I'm sure you have a lot of leftist friends in the industry and all these homos, and you go to pride parades. And like, I get it, dude. No, seriously.
Oh, this is so stupid. You won't know about this. In Praise of Shadows was a fucking idiotic person who just automatically labeled all of Wendigo, a very popular person. He said they're friends with alt-right people. A lot of these people, they're edgy commentator guys, okay? They're not alt-right. Well, probably not alt-right. There's a questionable thing with some people, but it's questionable. Just saying flat out they're alt-right. Just be like, you make, again, extraordinary claims, take extraordinary evidence, in my opinion. And I think anyone who thinks critically and actually care about the truth, even if you don't believe we can fully know the truth. If you want to be a truth seeker, you want to use evidence to at least support your claim and not just because people say it.
Seriously.
Bro, dude,
I get it. I get it. You're about your money at the end of the day. You're about your money, so you have to play both sides in order to keep both sides happy. But I think it means you have no integrity. That's all I'm going to say.
And
you're right.
Can you go back? Wait. What did you say just 25, 30 seconds ago?
Dude, you're right.
Wait. Can you just reiterate what you were saying? I kind of spaced out for a second.
Really? You want me to repeat what I just said?
Yeah. Just really hammer it home.
I said that you are playing both sides. You have no integrity. And I know that you're gonna cut together a video of me a year ago saying something stupid, and I'll be the first to say that I've grown since then and I've moved on from former views.
Yeah, you moved on from the Xbox console warrior grift to the anti-LGBTQ grift.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
Oh, sorry. I can only laugh in response to that. Like, you're admitting to it. Oh, I was just I don't know how you come back. I think he tries to say that. If that's the way you want to frame it. No. That's the way it seems, okay? You convinced me that's not true, okay? I need to know pretty much why you admit to being a stupid Xbox fanboy who would forgive him. But you're not explaining your logic of that time. Were you just did you have a brain transplant? Did you have a brain that's previously not known to you currently in that head? Is this why you can't sort of do what the Act-Man did when he was confronted with some of his bad takes that he explained? You can understand that. I think him just not explaining this and just accepting it, even if he's trying to laugh it off, bad. Any thoughts on that, or are we moving along?
We can move along.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get through as much as I can because
That's what it is,
I
man.
know.
Can you admit that
It's
you've
good
moved on
content.
from making
It's good
base
content.
videos to make
And from commentary community, there's fair use considerations if you go too long. Yeah.
making
Do you want to?
play both sides puss videos? Dude, seriously.
See, you're not being fucking serious with this,
Well, we
bro.
can jump
You
ahead.
keep laughing because you know what you're saying.
I mean, if you got a certain point,
there-
yeah, that would.
Well, are
I know
there
you
any
have a hard
specific?
line.
Well, I don't. Well, it's not. It's less a hard out. I can say it a little bit later because it is good content. You know, we are getting the. I'm getting the views right now. I'm sure you are too.
Oh, sure. I'm sure the greatest views in the world. This shit. It's hard to make this sort of shit entertaining sometimes, especially when you're trying to be good faith. Oh, God. It's better just to be like, both these guys are dipshit retards who need to fuck off. But AndyPants, definitely a grifter. Why Act-Man? He's just
So
a
I was-
lame duck here.
I was talking to my chat, too, but
Okay, if they got a timestamp.
Milspec Monkey disagrees with me. That's fine. He can disagree with me if he
Yeah.
wants. I just don't think
Well.
I don't think the pronouns thing is a big deal at all. I think that if it's giving players more options in terms of their role, if they want to role play the character the way they want to, that's totally fine. And
I can
also, if
I
it,
can
if it doesn't like, go ahead.
I can understand for both angles the sort of linguistics. You don't want to give them the sort of, you don't want to change language to accommodate them. But I'm of the personal opinion, I'm fine with giving the non-binary space. It's the sort of xeno pronouns. I'm like, okay, I'll give them the non-binary. If you want that NA, you don't want to identify as a male or female, fine. Okay, I can think you're weird, but I'll accept it. This is going to be the label. That'll be like, okay, you're confused, mentally ill, or have some sort of mentally ill is probably a bad framing. You have certain mental problems. You need this sort of space because you're confused about your gender identity. I would rather have that middle space in between than sort of forcing someone who's thinking about becoming trans to actually just skip from being male to female. Okay. I would rather them have that middle space so they could consider changing over, and maybe they can consider changing back, the sort of space to consider things. Okay. Because
Yeah. Well,
let me not go.
I'm a trans medicalist, so like I'll give that spicy take right here.
Okay.
So I don't think the non-binary stuff's real. I don't think it is. But I will say too that what changed my mind a little bit on the. I wasn't like I never cared about the Startup pronouns thing, but actually talking with food shops about it, and on the panel and a bunch of other people too. And she's like, yeah, actually, you know, it feels good to have these various options in the game. I'm like, okay, whatever. If you like it as a player, go for it. I don't care. You know, so
Yeah.
if players offer that options, and if some players do enjoy it, then whatever, it's fine.
I mean, yeah, I could understand as a little bit more if they forced him to use a pronoun that he didn't like.
Mhm.
But sorry, a little bit again.
Yeah, I don't follow the type 1 and type 2 body stuff. I know that some games use
Oh,
that instead of male and
God.
female.
I-
I don't have any strong views on it. I mean, I think just putting men and women is totally fine. I don't see a need for it. I think it's kind of silly, but I don't think it's the end of the world either. Especially since like in the game they don't presumably call you that, right? Like if you're type, they don't call you
Yeah.
type 1, right? I assume.
No, they don't. Okay. Like in Starfield, I do know they will, the enemy at least. Some places they'll use the they them pronouns. Okay. Should they even have fucking scripted have voice acted for these games? Some people think Bethesda went wrong when they went voice acted. The whole industry went wrong when they went with voice acting and sort of on rails RPG. We've gotten away from the wonderful choices that you were focusing on voice acting when you could have put more time and money into other mechanics. But
Well, yeah,
it's a-
it just that's a whole debate. I mean, because like there's pros
Yeah.
and cons, there's trade offs with it, you know.
Oh, here's actually one good one. I like this one. I do see it. Okay, I find this stupid here. And I think I might want to go back a little bit. This is totally brain rot stupid here.
Discord server.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
so this whole thing here, the change in AndyPants' entire demeanor, though. Of course, he says the right thing later on, but just watch the change.
Oh God. I even in my research, I even watched the sort of, I don't know if I want to call it research or just being terminally online. He was memeing it up on a podcast. He brought in fucking the Communist Manifesto, which they clickbaited like that man turns us communists. A great sort of clickbait thing to sort of tie in with this sort of thing here. And he also brought Mein Kampf. So if you watch it, you'd be like, he's a communist. But then he talks, totally humorful. Yeah, I think this is great, especially this line. He would read a ridiculous line. Then he would switch to Mein Kampf, and talk about that, and how great it was, but then switch to being real. Like, dude, look at this critique from this woman back when it was made. That was based. Okay, this is a base woman. You don't know about that, so let me not dwell on that.
Said something racist.
But yeah, we're getting into this. So tell me to stop at any point you want to jump in.
And look,
Oh
dude,
my God. Oh my God. He's so based. Are you for real, bro? Are you for real? Don't come at me with this fucking weak shit.
No. And look, I will be the first person to say that there's stuff on my Discord that happens that I don't know about. My only point in saying this is that there's nobody more racist than leftists like you. Nobody is more racist.
How the fuck did you extrapolate that? Do you have brain damage? How did you extrapolate this from some fucking random? This is what you come at me with, bro?
So
yeah, I'm wondering if he knows he's switching between calling him a fence sitter and a leftist, and that's really stupid. I almost want to read the sort of post-liberal idea that just centrists are just really leftist, all of them. There's no distinction between them. I'm getting that reading from him somewhat, but maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Oh my God.
So
this is weak.
No, dude,
you ain't no
telling
Giga Chad, bro. This is...
Dude, I'm just telling you that somebody on your server, there's a black guy from my community on your server, and he got called a monkey. And then somebody said that he lived in a mud hut. So I guess these are the people that you.
Well, thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I can talk to my mods and take action against this.
Yeah.
If action hasn't already been taken.
Yeah.
Well, this is the hard hitting stuff. The Discord messages from random users in a public server.
Sorry, you caught me with my pants. No, go on.
So what do you think of that switch there? Because like once he found out, like, oh wait, they're calling like a specific person on in my community this. I should probably go into like moderator mode. Which I think is like the right. You saw me do that off air with you once. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he plays it up well. I think he gets even a little bit confused. I'm not quite sure who if it was someone from, I guess, AndyPants who went into his server. Did he bait the sort of racist sort of comments? Or, yeah, it gets confusing here, but I find it hilarious. Okay, sorry. Maybe I should actually listen to the words, because I'm just laughing way too much here. Okay.
Yeah. So
wow.
no, I thought it was funny.
Funny because it shows how racist you are that one person got in your server and said something racist, and that I'm putting all on you. And you're a leftist, and you're like, are you retarded, Andy? You're not retarded. There's no way you can make this possible connection through any logical means and actually believe it.
Dude, your friends that go to the Pride Parade are gonna hate that you said retard right now. They're gonna hate.
I don't give a shit.
Your
I don't give a shit.
Friends are gonna hate that you said retarded.
I know. You guys should check out my leftist friends from the unsubscribed podcast that I was just on. Those guys, man, they really want to take.
Yeah, as I said, I do too much research. I think I might have watched this before this debate or after. That this is hilarious if you connect the two.
Take away our guns. And yeah.
No, I guess I get, but I
shout out to the guys on unsubscribe. Those guys are fucking awesome. I had a great time, by the way.
I just thought it was funny with Concord. I love black characters in games. I think it's great to have black characters in games. My point is that it's odd to be like, hey, here's 6 black characters in it.
Yeah, and I find his over reliance on Concord be a critical mistake in here. Okay, you're saying there's a pattern. Give us more. Okay,
Were there
AndyPants,
even 6
don't-
exactly, or how many was it? I don't know if it was 6 black characters. Was it?
I think he is correct. Okay, well,
He might be. Let's see.
6 darker
One.
skin characters. Depends.
Well, that's darker skin. We'll count him as black for the sake of this. I don't know what race that person is. 3,
Yeah. Wow.
4,
1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, ha, ha.
5. Okay, 5, and then like there's one ambiguous one. So I guess,
Okay.
or I guess there's like a couple ambiguous ones. I guess.
And I'm still saying over reliance on Concord. I think it's a mistake here. Okay. If you're trying to say he's trying to make a pattern about the Act Man, you need to catch him on different games. Okay. You harp on just wokeness in one game. Have him bring up other examples of other woke games that Act Man. I just the over reliance on Concord just seems pathetic to me.
Yeah. Well, it is probably like the biggest AAA failure of like the year, almost certainly, right? I guess so. Maybe that's why he's trying to lean into it, but I mean, it was a huge fuck up on Sony's part. I mean, like a huge fuck up.
I did not realize that. I saw the triggering thing. I think they try to go meta ironic in Deathborn. I saw someone play it, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty bad. Okay. Not really a fan of this, but I'll live with it. Okay. I wouldn't play it, but I can understand how, in a meta ironic way, it might be someone. I'm just not going to play it.
In a game and not one white character, and it shows a bias. And I think you do your channel.
And again, he just fact checked you on the black people. There's one indeterminate person, but there is a white person. And the fact that you keep on reiterate I'm wondering if Ackman should call him out on that. Okay, that there is a white man, or would that just
he might not even know. I have no idea.
Good point.
Characters in a game and not one white character, and it shows a bias. And I think you do your channel a disservice by like never talking about it. And it's like you specifically avoid ever talking about these things, like the uglification of women, dude. Like
the uglification. Did you come up with that word? That is
true. Dude,
the uglification.
Are you gonna dude? Are you gonna sit here and deny that women are being made ugly in games? Like you're chuckling about it, but you know it's true.
Yeah, Samus ain't a babe no more. She's
so yeah. Go ahead, please.
If you want to, like again.
Yeah, I was gonna just push back. Samus is still a babe. Zero sued Samus all day.
Well, Samus is still a babe, and also Act Man. I think this is Andy scoring a W here, a rare W for him. Perhaps the only one all stream. But
you think so?
I might not the only one. But this was a big one here. Like my goodness, like there is a very real phenomenon here. I think with that we talked about that earlier, though.
Yeah, and as I said, I really think it's a multitude of problems. Yes, the bias of the left people. They could be softer lefties or leftists pushing this stuff to sort of nudge these games. There's even an example. Like I find it hilarious. Everyone wants to harp on Sweet Baby Inc. for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I actually did research, and I'm like, there was this woman in 2018 who got a couple of women together to sort of have this sort of letter to say, yeah, this gaming studio is toxic and crap like that. 2018 didn't come out until 2020. And I'm pretty sure that led to PR bringing in, our champions of diversity to protect us from these sort of allegations of sexual misconduct. That's how I see it playing out. It's a theory. I'll admit it's a theory, but I think it's consistent. It was also a time period with Blizzard Cosby studio sort of crap out there.
Mm-hmm.
no studio wanted to be considered sexist for a long time, and definitely activists pushed for a lot of change in the industry. Well, you're doing a book on Gamergate. They were doing this beforehand. They had it all prepped, and they had certain instances they were able to capitalize on it, both within the gaming industry and socially with BML, which Ackman brought up earlier. Any particular thoughts on that, or just speed through again?
I'm good to continue if you are.
And if you want actual real answers, but you're going for like cheap gotchas that are not going to work, okay? You're firing blanks at me, bro. I mean, and
both. I mean, if you'll answer them, I'd like real answers and gotcha answers. But
gotcha answers. Well, fuck, you got me. Women are super ugly in video games.
No,
how have I not seen the light? I'm just now seeing it, Andy.
I just find it very strange that you would deny, dude. It's like
deny what? Deny what? Finish that sentence.
I find it interesting that you would deny the obvious like uglification of women that's going on in games right now. Like,
okay, so do you remember what I was talking about with the boy who cried wolf? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so when people come out and I hear about this game is woke, this blah 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 blah, hear that shit.
Yeah, I think you might be right. This is the Ackman deflecting. This is moving the goalpost here to avoid this topic. As I said, I can discuss this topic and my thoughts on that. So can you. So can most people. Ackman definitely seems like he's avoiding this by jumping off the back of a really, I think the point is valid, but I don't think it's really related to this particular point here very strongly.
Well, and Ackman, if he genuinely doesn't know, rather than being very dismissive of it, why doesn't ask him, hey, look, what are the 3 best examples you can give me, right? Or something like that, right?
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways he could really, he said he was really getting into it, and the sort of pivot he does here definitely is a mistake by him, I would say.
If you go on Twitter, you will see something new every single fucking day. I don't make videos just because one person on Twitter said it's woke, or wow, look at how ugly they are, and all that shit. It's like I'm going for substance. I'm not just here somebody to obsess over the graphics of every single video game female character and like analyze how big her boobs are and whether she's got camel toe. Like I try to cover important shit about video games, and that's fine if people want to cover that shit, like and talk about that.
Dude, but
I'm not obligated to make videos about the uglification of women.
No, I'm not saying you're.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're not obligated, but you are sort of dodging here, dude. Okay.
Yeah, he is dodging.
Obligated to make videos about it, but
you're saying why don't I? Because I'm interested in other aspects of video games, like
right that isn't going to piss off the lefties. I get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I never want to piss them off. Never.
I actually think he's trying to avoid pissing off the more right-leaning people in his audience here. Okay, I think he's gotten into this goon. There does seem to be a large majority of people who are focused on just the aesthetics, the look of the characters, no matter what context. And I think that's really stupid. We brought up the Star Wars Outlaws girl. Like, yeah, the model's beautiful. And definitely what they did to her model made her look more rough and tumble, rough and tough, which fits the actual character they built there.
Yeah, and like, I don't think the face metal, like, I don't work in the industry, but maybe they do try to keep them 1-to-1. But there is, like, I think a lot of artistic decisions that go into designing the face, rather than just like, oh, we're just gonna use 1-to-1 exactly the model too. Like, I doubt that would be the case for most games.
Yeah, I mean, there's decisions you can make sense of. Okay, Mortal Kombat, I found some of those design decisions completely. And I defended Melanie Mack during that, okay, for her take there, okay. I thought she might have been a little bit simplistic. Well, she was Ubisoft Babe booth at a certain time, and, the feminists did take away that position at PAX, I've learned, okay, railed against the Babe booth. So, of course, you would have a sort of biased against it.
The feminists are taking our gerbs. Literally.
They're taking away our babes at the booths. They are. They literally diving into the pack stuff. The whole Dick Wolf stuff was hilarious. Okay. I told a friend about it who's complete normie. He was even laughing. He's a Bernie bro, and he was like, yeah, that stuff is insane that they were fucking pushing that bullshit. And he was a Bernie bro. Maybe even you could consider him a leftist. I fought with him before because I'm more of the center moderate guy. I just find that funny.
So let me just
Were you speaking or was that the video?
Oh, my chair might have squeaked. I was spinning.
Chair squeak.
Let me take a tip from you. I should start scrubbing my stuff like the feminists and SJWs. I should get rid of that. I should get rid of the Hogwarts Legacy video so that I can really lean hard into appealing to leftists. I mean, good strategy. Good strategy, Andy.
Dude, I like this. Okay. I put captions on, so scrub myself. Paper trail
to talk with me when you left so much evidence behind.
I grew as a person. Can you say that
you're gonna have to flip flop on a lot of things, man?
Oh, I will 100% say yes. I flip flopped and I grew as a person. Are you willing?
You flipped on a lot of things. Yeah,
are you willing to admit that you went from catering to an alt-right audience to now you're talking to lefties now?
No. What are you talking? When did I cater to an alt-right audience?
Your audience is saying you used to be base and you're not
again. Your audience. What do you think? Don't talk about my audience.
Oh, I absolutely hate the audience argument, but I've gotten in fights in the comments. Let's not get too deep in that. People are being like, yeah, I'm totally part of their audience. They not used to be like this. I'm like, why should I fucking believe you? Okay. You look into these profiles. I don't go on.
No, you finish your point, please.
I was just going to simply say, why should I believe you? Okay. There does seem, I hate the term gaslighting, but frankly, sometimes I feel like people are trying to gaslight you in the comments on X. Okay. It's just insane to me. I'm saying a factual thing and they try to argue against factual things. Okay.
Well, throughout this next segment here, we're probably going to hear Andy use the word, I think, alt-right multiple times, which is such a weird, like, I don't know what his definition of alt-right is. Like, I've always associated that more with like the white nationalist wing of the American right. I think that's sort of like what it was like 8 years ago at least. And like I don't know if like why he wants to like go that route. Like, does he think that like all criticism of wokeness is alt-right, or is he like trying to say something else? Because I don't think he's using the term quite like right.
Yeah, I give a little bit of good faith sometimes for comedy like this here. This looks hilarious. You and I should team up against takedown of Cree and cartoonish. I've heard things about, I don't know if that's the real person there. He's rather infamous if that is the real person. And I don't know cartoonish, so I don't know really the criticism.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, hey, we got someone wanted to jump in. Milspec Monkey.
No, I don't think they want to jump in. Okay.
Audience, your audience. This isn't a debate between me and you.
It's just the fact I don't know if this is the real Smash Bandicoot, who has a really bad reputation online. Seems like it, but
you're fucking chat. Okay.
I think you're a lefty now. I think you've gone left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Dude, yeah.
I want
like
communism.
Activision, if you want to rub elbows with the Activision execs and all those people,
you're just recycling all this dumb shit that isn't sticking at all. Like,
okay. All right.
Like,
but hang on, back to the women thing.
Andy, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Has God taken the anger out of your heart?
Why do you ask that?
Okay, I understand why Ackman's getting so petty here, because this is petty ass shit. Okay. I think rhetorically and optically, this is brilliant, but this is petty ass shit.
The religion angle, I don't. Again, maybe if you're a religious person,
I do better, understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sort of Christian push. Okay, you don't.
Yep.
There definitely is a fear, a well-warranted fear. We don't want Matt Walsh. Hell, even the sensible people in the anti-woke sphere is like, Matt Walsh, stay the fuck away from this sort of discourse. Get the fuck out. You're just going to make us look bad. I think there's other people who make you just look as bad, but I do research and yeah.
I just curious.
I mean, if you're,
do you think? I want you to be. You don't have to be honest with me, but you got to be honest with him. Well, do you think where you're at right now,
you're not a Christian,
God has taken the anger out of your heart?
Wait, do you?
Yeah, this is just brilliant. Assholish move. But the sort of follow up where did we already get to the night? See, this is the problem with pre-watching stuff and knowing all this. You're sometimes misremembering what you watched before for what you're currently watching. Like, did I actually say anything about the ninth? Did he say something about the ninth commandment already?
He did mention it earlier, I believe, at the very beginning. Remember he mentioned he talked about how it's I don't bear false witness, right? So he did bring that up.
Okay.
In regards to the claim that he was shilling for Call of Duty, I think it was, or something like that. And we have Milspec Monkey. He wants to jump in. Actually, the call. I just posted the link.
Send him the link. Send him the link.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier. Okay.
I think he's got some
because, like I told you, I've seen some of your other older videos
I got to go in
tried
like
to hide from your audience.
20 minutes the latest. So.
Yeah, I'll give it a half hour. Okay. Sounds about right.
Because
let's aim for a 333. Okay.
It's a good discussion, and I think it's good content. So
I'm thankful that you're considering this a good discussion. Okay. Tell us who you are. Yeah, I'll give it a half hour. Okay. You might also want to turn off the stream if you're listening.
Check.
We can hear it in the background. Yeah. Not anymore. It's good now.
Introduce yourself.
Now we can hear it.
All right. Okay. Sorry, I had them both open. This first time I'm jumping in, winging it with the mic and everything. Everybody hear me okay?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yep. You sound good to me.
Awesome. So I guess relevant background is I'm a past game developer, and so I'm at least familiar with some of these subjects, and that's why I have some opinions of them.
I always love someone who has experience in the field.
And I guess you could say I was overall pro Gamergate movement. And as far as political background, I would say I like to call myself a 90s Democrat. So somewhat disenfranchised with what I would say radicalization. If that makes sense.
Okay, it's good to let your bias out, give back basic background. What has your thoughts been on what you've seen personally or what you've seen on the stream at all?
I think nothing. Well, I think most people agree AndyPants didn't come very prepared. Like if I were to do this, I would have brought all the examples like for the key points. Like say even on the uglification, he's just like talking about it, and he wants to get Actman on just like quick. Like he's already made up in his mind what is true, but has little interest in like allowing it to be shown or proof that Actman actually has those issues. Is the way I feel.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I just jumped in because I felt there wasn't like an anti-woke voice in the batch. Where
I try to get a different perspective. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're wildly one side or the other. I just felt there just wasn't a anti-woke side. I think you're
that's totally fair. Like,
and so not that you guys were doing poorly or saying anything crazy. Just
except for me, I'll admit to some crazy stuff. But let's move on.
I would only bring up my opinion where I have a harder line on things like the pronouns, where I think clearly they've led to things that people just didn't consider at the time, and that they do have meaning and purpose, and they aren't just this little, oh, what's it matter? And that won't change anything. What do you care? Like they have real effects, and these are real political, basically virtue signals, or at least trying to promote the concept, or whether appease the people that keep asking for these such things. But I just think it's worth remembering, like 10 years ago, these would be insane. Like you tell somebody, hey, 10 years, we're going to have body type 1 and 2, and they would laugh at you. Like no one would believe that. But that's where we are right now.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right.
So, but is like the virtue signal there, like body type 1 and 2. I'm not going to defend that. That's dumb. That's dumb. I'm not going to defend that. But pronouns, like
that's cowardice.
Would that be like a bad virtue signal? Like, does it really matter? Like, if some small amount of players think that's good?
I'm with you on the concept that I believe you're pro freedom of a developer to do what they want. And I understand your point there, but I see it as just clear political leanings. Like at that point, it's no different than a checkbox for, hey, do you believe in abortion? Just randomly checkbox that on your character here. It's not going to have anything to do with the game, but hey, here's your checkbox. It's like, what? Why is this here? Or like, here's your MAGA hat. Like,
okay, I will agree with you on the checkbox mentality of corporations. Hell, I think it's even worse with award incentives, getting within these award shows to sort of properly get in. You need to have certain quotas within your sort of certain company. And I can definitely say, considering they don't have a quota for the amount of white people, there is definitely a double standard there. It's all about the minorities. But again, that is a decision that you have to sell your soul to the devil for the corporation there. Okay. I won't look favorably on anyone who can prove that the certain games are just checking the box just for good press or anything. But that's, again, I think some games do some of this more progressive content better than others. Like I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3, but conceptually I did like, what was that very communistic game?
Papers,
It was
Please.
the
some people say Disco.
go on. I'll look it up real quick because my brain is blanking. But yeah, continue.
I would say Concord's a good example of that, of having 3 black characters where, again, this is a very Hollywood mentality. They just look at the oppression score, and so every time they're like, all right, we need some diversity, and they're like, and black woman. And it's like, hold up, there's like all these other races, like Latinos almost always ignored in these situations. You don't ever see
Asians get the worst out of it.
Well, Concord, I
white
think, had
bastard.
all. Didn't Concord have basically like all the races though, or like most of them? Like, because I know like the woman. We watched the trailer. Hang on, I watched the trailer at the beginning of the stream. I'm not sure if you saw that part. But the character in the opening of the trailer, there's like the green guy, and then there's the hot Asian girl.
Was
and
she
then there's
really
also
hot? Okay. Can you call anyone in that game hot? Or
there's the
a little
old
hot.
she's like the only one, I think.
The Asian
old
chick,
Asian
yeah.
lady.
And then like this
Except for
person's
the
like
guy.
Hispanic, probably,
not-
right? Daw. He looks like maybe he's Hispanic. I don't know.
Yeah, they come close to attractive, but no.
Well, I don't say they're
they're
attractive,
straight.
but you've been okay, yeah.
I said they
Anyway.
come. Some of the characters come close to
Yeah.
attractive. Okay, right? Hairstyle, right dress, and I wouldn't kick her out of bed. Okay,
I wouldn't
really
kick
say
Bale
that.
out of bed either. I don't think.
Well. Oh, it was Disco Elysium was the game I was thinking about. Okay, that was it's woke as that was. It was heavily socialistic themed. I think it was a good game. But I have a hard time playing it again for the 100 completionist because of how it's styled. But I could respect the design of that game. Okay, and that's
most gamers will put up with a lot if it's a good game, but if it's a mediocre woke game, then no go.
It's just another point. I agree. Okay, and especially if they fail in really badly failing comedy. Someone brought up Dustborn. And I'm like, I saw someone trying to say this wasn't this bad. It wasn't so woke. I'm like, yeah, you're in denial, girl. Well, that particular content creator is a centrist sort and probably Steel Man woke games a little bit too hard. I'm like, this just looks dog shit. Maybe it's not as bad as they're making it out to be, but it looks pretty bad.
Well, then those government funded, it becomes a whole other subject.
Oh, and even yeah, but the same company was funded by the government for games that didn't seem woke at all. That seems like a disingenuous talking point there to me.
I just want to defend my taste real quick. I just want to say I have impeccable taste. Okay, people in chat are saying time to judge tax definition of hat.
Don't
what
know
now?
about that.
Judge what?
Anyway, should we go back to the video?
Yep. Did you watch this video? Let me just call you Monkey. I love Monkey Jones, so let me
Keep it simple. Monkey's good. I haven't seen the complete one, but from what little clips I saw on the Twitters, it looked like Andyman he just didn't come prepared. Like he's
he's
he's definitely
he doesn't know the efficient way to really nail Ackman down. As I said, the Ackman's dealt with the comment, some criticism rather harshly from the commentary community. I think he's learned and grown. He still acts like a dumbass.
He's
at least a quarter of the time, at least an eighth to a quarter of the time. Okay, but he has that sort of lovable charm that he can mostly get away with it. Okay.
I mean, he's definitely trolling
it's
a little
hard to
bit
find the
by
wolf when
trying to call everything gay. And I mean, it seems like clearly it's kind of a shtick.
Fair enough. He did also say that R slur. Retard.
Fucking time a new game comes out, it's woke, and the gays are ruining it. Every fucking time a new video. You just said 100% of the games that come out are woke. Every single fucking one of them. Okay, this is a boy who cried wolf scenario, and it.
Okay.
I can't. How am I supposed to take? Am I just supposed to believe in what you say blindly?
Dude,
are you the ultimate arbiter of what's gay and woke and all this? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I'm just saying it's odd that you never talk about it. It's odd that you never talk about it.
I talk about it when I
talk about it in the streams. Like, he talks about it here. You talk about it here. Be more honest about it. Be like, yeah, you talk about it, dude. But you don't talk about it enough for my personal taste, okay? I think it's a bigger concern that you should bring up. That would have been the better position to take here. I don't know why he's taking this 100% completionist route.
He should bring up an example of a boy who cried wolf on wokeness. Would have been a good time to.
Oh yeah, shit. Well, he sort of brought it up, the 100%. Okay, I know people are considering. Sorry, I hate the mentality. You have to be all in or all against. It's just horrible. I have to agree with that, man. Here, it's just a horrible mindset. It definitely, for wokeness, you definitely factor in the woke qualities and what you think cause it, and be like, we don't know for sure if this is the activist's vision. Okay, if gameplay companies were more transparent, we wouldn't have to fucking do all this fucking theory work. I think it'd be a better angle to take against these companies for the anti-woke person, not just spinning out these theories and treating like fact and regurgitating them later on, even after they're like, yeah, we don't know. Okay.
Well, what would be even an example for you that you think was a mislabeled woke game?
It's more about the prediction thing. Personally, I'm probably a little bit softer. For Alan Woke 2, I went to the actual ending. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty woke. This looks pretty pandering. But there is an artistic interpretation that people sort of omitted talking about. And I don't even think this is a good thing. They had this weird sort of new game plus feature. They end Alan Wake 2 pretty much very pandering, very black power. It's the white guy thing. And this is actually came up between the black FBI agent and the writer as a piece of fiction. Okay. This was a narrative they were trying to get to complete the story. But the game ends and like, that's wrong. Okay. That narrative isn't going to work. Okay. That's a fail state for the game and the actual true ending. But you know what I mean? It's a little bit complex. But that's from an artistic perspective.
Alan Wake specifically changed a character that was supposed to be white to black and worked with Sweet Baby Inc. I mean, that one's a pretty clear-cut example.
Yeah, I understand all those criticisms, and I definitely can't see it. I'm talking about for the end bit, okay? I'm not going to defend the sort of race swapping of that. I could, but let's not. I'm just saying it just feels disingenuous to say it's particularly one person who made the argument for the ending being extremely woke. As for the other race swapping, I think I quote the gender side because it seems to be redheads who seem to be turning black all the time, and I find that funny. I'm like, why is the redheads? It's because they have no soul. You think they have no souls, you assholes?
That's that Hollywood spin the wheel mentality, and it always ends up on black women somehow.
No, I just don't know why it's the redheads they're always race swapping. That's what I don't understand. I use my little joke that they don't obviously leftist people
weird.
for race swapping.
Honestly, just make your own character. Make new movies and move franchises. Gino Ortega, I think, just said this actually recently.
Yeah, but that's risky. Okay, fuck it. I agree.
Well, it's a weird like the core concept is to get an IP to be safe, and then it's just so crazy that at the same time they'll be like, okay, change everything about it to piss off that user base, the customer base we just purchased, basically, and do the complete opposite. It doesn't make any sense.
And there's much better points that none of these anti-woke. Oh, well, okay. Rarely any of these anti-woke channels really get into, like the weapons, the sort of weaponization of academia. Well, people allude to it, but I think Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power. Rings of Power and Wheel of Time is a great example of like why the fuck are you relying. Especially Wheel of Time. You guys might not know about this. They had an expert for the Wheel of Time, but they also had the co-author, Brandon Sanderson, who pretty much finished up the series for Jordan, who died before the series was done. And they dismissed the co-writer who finished up the series for a so-called expert for the Wheel of Time TV series. And that stuff is a trash fire.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to what they did with the latest Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I just think Wheel of Time, not as popular as Lord of the Rings. I think it's a better example. They had the actual co-writer there to help him out, but they dismissed him, his sort of advice for someone who's more progressive. I think that's a great example there.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like they literally hire people that don't like the lore, and they're like, change it up, get crazy. I mean, it's nuts.
Definitely have plenty of criticism for the token society. Oh, this is what Token really wanted. Then why didn't you try to pull this shit when he was alive or his son was alive? Why did you wait until he was dead? Okay,
we're so close. Let's just finish the discussion.
Okay, sorry.
I feel like it's an actual issue. Or when I know. Like, the Hogwarts Legacy stuff, bro. Okay, that was a huge deal. A huge deal. I've talked about this before. I did a video. It was like Ocarina of Time is a gay coming of age story. I did a response to this random article, and it was so bizarre, and it was just what I've always made fun of and criticized on my channel is bad faith critique of video games and the medium of video games. And people make bad faith arguments on the left. People make bad faith arguments on the right. Okay. I don't discriminate against either of those. It's all fair game. Okay. It's all fair game. So I don't fence it. I don't play both sides.
Dude, of course you do. You said you did in a video. You said, I don't want to talk about politics.
That's politics in the real world, not in video games. Come on, bro.
It's the same thing, dude. You're still
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
See, I have to agree with that man here. I don't want politics in video games. Why do I want to muddy that water? It's bad enough that I have all these political positions, but I don't want them to be in games. I don't want them to be used for design decisions. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's both bad faith critique on the right, left, hell, even in the center, non-political, there seems to be some. But yeah. Your thoughts on this?
It's fair to say Actman is just a left-leaning centrist, and so he doesn't feel the need to critique things he agrees with, and it just ends up leaning more on the left.
Well, Vincent, I think I'm gonna, and Monkey, I think I'm gonna head out actually. But I do want to say about
you gotta go.
They talk about the Halo stuff at the end. What do we think? What do we think of their answers on what's the best Halo multiplayer?
I'm not as much of a Halo pro.
Yeah, sorry. I got into the Western. The reason why I don't care about Western video games is because I got lost in Japanese media for years. So coming back out and be like, yeah, these are a little fucked up, but I don't care mostly.
I'll go with Halo 3. I like Infinite though too. Infinite's core gameplay is decent, but they don't have any maps, and they need to do way more with the game than they've done. but the core gameplay I think is pretty self-evident. But there are more people in my YouTube chat who do want to jump into the stream and join the call. Vincent, do you want to publicly post the StreamYards link in my Discord general in case they want to join?
Oh God, I'm
Or do you want me to post it for you?
Okay. Yeah, you have the invite. If a few
Okay.
people
I
want to
don't
come
know
in,
these
and,
people, to be clear. So like,
Right, for surprise.
could be anything.
I see. I want to close up in 10 minutes, though, guys. So
Oh, okay. Well, I'll
I'm
stick
gonna
around for 10 minutes if we're doing that. Okay.
yeah, let's do power thing. I liked we have an anti-vote voice. Both of you, just I'm gonna try to not pause. Both
Since-
go.
It's fitting because you don't want to piss off the leftists because that would interfere with your bag. I get it.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've heard.
Okay.
Why would I not look at the views you're getting on your audience? Why would I not cater to that crowd? What are you talking about?
Because you don't want it. Because you would lose.
Oh, yeah, I would lose. Yeah, I would lose the
lose the
lefties. That's why when you're saying your audience is wondering why you don't cover this, yeah, it's when people unsubscribed.
Right. And no,
it's not the leftists,
dude. I do appreciate your advice from earlier, but the reality is,
do you want to focus on that?
Even in my old Xbox videos, I talked about woke stuff. I talked about woke stuff on my old Xbox channel. It's just that happened to be an audience that didn't want to hear me talk about the woke stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm going to follow the algorithm and make content that my audience wants here. But I still 100% have always believed the woke stuff. I've always been very passionate and outspoken about my faith.
Yeah, but you had
changed in that regard.
You had nuanced takes, though. That was the difference. Is that you would say things along the lines of, yes, I think more trans, gay, lesbian characters in games is a good thing. However, that doesn't mean you get to criticize. Wait. However, that doesn't mean, I'm paraphrasing what you're saying, by the way.
Right.
But I have we have the videos. But you would say, however, that doesn't mean you get to criticize Kojima for fetishizing women in his games. And I was like, you know what? That's a nuanced take. Like,
right.
You are hard pivoting to a very specific crowd. And
dude, I'm not pivoting to anything. This is stuff that I've always talked about. I'll show you
you have always talked about it, but you were not as far gone as you are right now. That's what I'm trying to say, is that's why I ask, did God has he taken the hatred out of your heart? And you don't have to answer that.
Okay, this is a good point. Someone else jumped in. Defective by design. I like the name. Don't really like the lack of profile, but stop. Do you have anything to say? As I said, I'm trying to close up in 8 minutes. Try to keep it a nice 3-3-3. Half of 6-6-6. Good logic. Defective by design.
Get in there.
Anything? Okay, maybe it's just working out his audio. Speak up or forever hold your peace. But I find this interesting. He goes on this whole rant. I think it's rhetorically effective. I think it's even mostly true. It seems true.
Hear me?
Okay,
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear.
I can hear
Can
you.
hear
now.
you, yeah.
A little low, but let me see if I can.
Keep it talking.
Yeah. I'm putting up your mic. I rarely have to do this. Try this again. Maybe I just fucked things up by trying to...
There's a lot of lag.
Okay, got it. Not seeing it on my end. Okay, I can hear you now.
There's like 10-20 seconds of lag.
Oh man.
Wow, that is getting pretty bad. You always gotta hate technical difficulties.
Just want to power through.
Okay.
Yeah, power through.
To me,
as I
or
said,
your audience, or
wanna
anybody,
ask
but
me
you will
any
have to answer that
questions,
to him.
Sheesh. Not at the moment. If there's anything in general you want to say about this debate, because we're coming to the end and trying to power through at least to what we can. Any broad general ideas about this or anything? Might be technical issues on this.
I know in
At the end of
chat,
this.
I know in chat he was saying that he felt as though Actman lied about Starfield, but we covered that earlier in the discussion.
Yeah, it also seemed like AndyPants
Next
was
month.
more of a fan.
Yeah,
I
wanna
do agree.
mention, Actman, obviously he didn't answer any of the questions, but Actman, yeah, Yeah, he lied about as.
Or what was the lie besides he just didn't like him?
Yeah, I covered that. I might have had a hot take on that also, but that's generally how I pull things off. There, I don't know. That's complex and behind the scene coverage. Yeah, I understand people mad at Ackman for his things and the whole
But,
as stuff.
It's hard to converse with the lag, but I think nobody mentions the heel versus babyface thing.
It might gets brought up later. How do you think it relates to this whole conversation about woke versus? You're saying you think maybe the sort of conflict between the Ackman and heels versus babyface sort of is causing this sort of a late echo effect from the Ackman taking action here with against sort of what he's at least claiming is disingenuous, dumbass talking points from the anti-woke YouTubers that are rising.
Okay.
Let's just move on. I'm sorry, but if we can't
Yeah.
hear you, we can't communicate. Let's just
Yeah,
move on.
sorry,
Yeah.
man. Sometimes
We have to think about the
technical
quality of the
difficulties.
stream for the
Bryce,
audience.
every single
Yeah.
day
Oh.
that I make my YouTube channel and that I make
Yes,
videos, I'm taking a
yes,
stand
yes.
for truth. I'm taking a stand for
Mhm.
God, and so I don't have to be
Ackman
ashamed about any
lied
of that.
about how he doesn't take a stance, and
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but we're just gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and
it's
continue.
And I'm standing on those
Can
values.
you
and I make
please
videos
leave,
about it.
or we'll boot you? Okay.
But I
Or
get
I'm
it,
not the
dude. I get
moderator.
it. You don't want to get into religion.
Vincent
Nobody
is,
ever wants to
but-
talk about religion, so I'm not going to talk about that.
I brought it up
mean,
for a reason.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I mean,
it's more the technical
I-
side of things.
in one
about
of
it.
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I
Yes.
could
because like
in one video
he
I
took a
found, you
stance
said you
specifically
used to
to
debate
attack ass.
Please,
That's what I mean.
Vincent, gosh.
Uh,
Yeah, I'll leave.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
So-
you need
sorry
to
about the
expand on
lag.
that, man.
30%
No, you're fine.
atheist
I
agnostic.
mean,
and
I
was
think I can
debating
help
with
on this
atheists on my
position
channel
if
yesterday, and I
you want
lost like
somebody
22
to go.
We're also
subscribers
trying
because I
to
was debating
close up,
atheists,
man.
and I shouldn't have done it. So anyway, I was debating.
I do
atheists.
find it interesting that you keep note of exactly how many subscribers you lose.
you do.
I remember a post
You
on,
do too, dude. Come on, brother.
no, I don't. Not really.
That's why you're playing both sides, is because you're looking at your numbers. I get it.
My numbers are all up right now. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm catering to leftists. I would have made some fucking shit tier excuse for Concord if that was the case.
Dude,
But I'm like, you know, it
talked about
actually wasn't that bad.
If you talked about woke stuff, you'd lose like 1 million subscribers right now. So I get why you can't talk about woke stuff.
Do you actually believe that?
Okay, I'm gonna be a stickler for the time. I want that half of 666 sort of feel. Outro, guys. Reiterate what you want to think about this. And sorry we didn't have a monkey or a better anti-woke person up at the very end, but let's go general
No, Monkey is
thoughts.
still here.
We'll
It's
go-
the other guy who left, but
Yeah, it was more technical issues. I
yeah,
mean,
in fact, it
maybe
wasn't
you had
personal
argument,
at all.
but
You might have.
but
You
we didn't-
say it in the chat. Say it in chat if you want. It'll show up in the live replay on my channel, so you'll find there. Okay, Monkey, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I can go first. I'll be quick. Said thanks for letting me sneak in. So it was a good test run for me. I can start from the start later, but I would say a quick summary was AndyPants didn't come very prepared, but he did have some good points, but he just didn't have a very good way of defending or being like, hey, I want to see this actual proof. And so he gets kind of too involved with the trolling aspect would be my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if he brought evidence to prove his claims, I would be more on his side. Okay, it's always about evidence over any. I try to prioritize evidence over my own personal bias, but that's me. Tachyon, close out.
All right, I'll be relatively brief about my thoughts on this. I think that I think AndyPants didn't really come prepared at all. I think he brought up a really good point with the uglification of women. I think that Actman kind of dodged that question. I don't know why he decided not to answer that, but I think that is probably a conversation that was worth having and worth engaging with. In regards to like the rest of the discussion, I don't think that AndyPants did a really good job. I think it was pretty like bad faith with it. And he seemed to admit at one point that like he does a lot of this stuff because it's like the niche and he's like trying to cater to it. Like he talked about with Xbox, for instance, that he was like a shill for Xbox. It's like, well,
Yeah,
and now he's like trying to move into, and then he's like now he's like an anti-LGBT shill, which like it's like
It seems
why
like
be a
strange
shill?
thing.
Yeah, like I get it, like the audience wants a certain thing, you got to play to it, but like you don't have to play to it, right? And if those are your genuine views, just say, hey, look, these are my genuine views, and like explain this to the audience. Be like, hey, look, I don't like LGBT stuff because X, Y, or Z. There's issues with the puberty blockers, and the National Health Service just recalled them. If you have like, go for it. If you wanted to make those cases, but like, don't just do it because the audience wants you to. And it seems like that was kind of like what he was saying. That's how I read it, at least. Maybe you do disagree. Anyway, go ahead, real quick.
No, finish up.
Okay. All right. I'm Techie on Blue. I'm a political live streamer, gaming live streamer. I'm currently working on 2 different books. One of them is a multi-volume book about Gamergate. The first volume's done, basically, and they'll be coming out very soon. I'll be doing a Kickstarter campaign, so be sure to follow me on all my socials. You can get up to date on that. When I announce it over the next couple months, I'll be doing a Kickstarter. You can pick up the copy of the first volume, signed copy, as well as other great goodies with the Kickstarter as well. Tachyon Blue on YouTube, Kick, and Twitch, also on Twitter. So yeah, hit me up and check out my stuff. And
addressing the quick point, Xander Hall is a good example of someone who flipped from being a rightoid to a leftoid. You could make the same comparison here with him. I think optically, no matter what the truth is underlying this, bad optics from AndyPants, definitely not prepared. Actman definitely was a little snaky, but I think overall I agreed with a lot of his points and can even understand his perspective. Okay. Probably a little bit of frustration is coming out here or there, but I don't think it's a mad bro. I think it's more him just playing to his strengths, and this sort of is his strengths. And yeah, but I'm just a madman with the YouTube channel, or mad scientist of YouTube. Take care. Peace out. Bye.
peace.